are back. The time is now.
NUFC Early Night News with Gary the Geordie Yam Yam, Andrew O'Keefe, and Derek the Mighty Wind. Weekdays from 7:30 p.m. UK, 1:30 p.m. USA. NUFC Talk.
Hey, we're back. Usual place, usual time. We're a little bit late because, bless her, Tina Tooney, our Christina's having some tech issues, so we've been trying to help her in the background. So apologies for the couple of minutes delay. But we are here. We are with you. Before we get into tonight's show, let's do the housework and then we'll crack on with everything else that's on board. Welcome to all watching across all the platforms. Thanks for everybody that works in the background. Don't forget, people out there in viewerland, smash that like button for us. It certainly helps us get further as a channel. Subscribe, totally free. Hit that bell for future content. Like I always say, you're always going to get a 30-minute warning when we're live. Always live, never edited. If you want to support us, you can become a member. Small monthly fee if you can afford to do so this time of year. But it will certainly be great. There you go. She's on board, but she can't hear us. If you've got a question for any of us in the panel, then please put a Q in front of it. But it ain't guaranteed. So if you do want to guarantee it, then throw us a Talk TV super chat, and that'll guarantee that message read out. Anybody that becomes a member during the show, or anybody that gifts members out there, will also be highlighted and thanked as we go. Bless her, our Tina Tooney struggling in the background to get on board, and I'm sure she'll get there in the end. By all accounts, Wynn's got a new formula on how to pick the squad. So he's going to go through all that in a minute. So I hope you're all well. And I hope you've all had a fantastic Crimbo. Because, like I say, we have all had a little rest. And I might have to fidget a little bit today because I've hurt my back and I'm trying to get myself comfortable. So if you see me shuffling my bum, that's the reasons why. So apologies before I even start the show. I've had to put a cushion underneath my backside just to try.
I see.
Oh, I see it. I said to him, I said, "Oh, the butcher, get it out." Listen, it's been a great couple of days. Trouble is, it's been a bit spoilt by performances set against Manchester United, which was very, very poor indeed. And there seems to be a hell of a lot of muck being thrown around. Let's put it that way. Out on social media. But what I wanted to say to you boys, I mean, we've still got lots of people, either in or out. Like I said, for me, it's a results-driven industry, and I just want to see the results going the right way. And it doesn't matter who's in the helm. If they can't produce that, then there has to be a change. Now, the Mighty Win has come up with this formula. Mighty. This is for Burnley, though, isn't it, mate? This is the Burnley team.
This is for the Burnley match. Apparently, the board have had, the PIF have had an emergency meeting and have decided that for the Burnley game, they're going to have an open poll that anybody can vote on. All the online experts can vote on.
What do you mean by an expert?
Everybody thinks they're experts, don't they? So we're going to have an online poll on what the formation should be. First of all, you vote from 12 till 1 to decide on the formation. And then from 1 till 2, you vote on the players you want there. And the players with the formation with the most and the players with the most gets to play against Burnley, because PIF in their wisdom have decided that online fans know best. So they're going to open it up to them. And then when the game kicks off, they're going to have an open poll again. And if you want somebody substituted, you suggest the substitution. And if it gets 10,000 likes, the substitution gets made. So that's how it's going to be done from now on.
Can you imagine if that was the way it worked? That all the fans were the coaches and literally the people there, actually on the touchline, were people that just had a fancy clipboard with all the polls and everything else. And it was like a case of, right then, You're coming on, and we're going to change it to this. That is crazy. I mean,
It is for members only, by the way. So that's another
you've got to
perk.
become a Manx.
That's another
Plus.
perk you get for being a member, and you have to have been a member for at least 14 days, so it prevents any trolls getting online.
Oh,
so
love
it's
it.
going to be bona fide members votes only.
Listen, I wanted to ask you.
There is an option, by the way. Everybody has the same option. We'll leave it up to Eddie.
Isn't it funny,
that idea better. We'll stick with that
idea. Yeah, B. Isn't it strange though? As we all follow the Black and White Army. All right? We're all literally avid followers, and we've done it through lots of sour days, and we've had more sour days than we've had good. That's a fact. And isn't it strange though now where you can't have a civil conversation, regardless of what your opinion is, on social media these days, without somebody getting the hump or without somebody, slating you over your opinion. At the end of the day, it's a valid point. Well, everybody's got the rights to approach the subject on whether Eddie Howe should leave his current role within the job. And like I said, for me, I've said it all along. I support Newcastle United. Doesn't matter who's there. And like I say, it's not up to me to get rid of him. It's up to the board. But I was going through social media half an hour ago, and I pulled up the Pardew Out saga. There's people now online. Remember they all had the Sports Direct banners, didn't they? And they were waving them at the ground. How far off do you reckon Eddie Howe is from a Pardew scenario?
Well, that will definitely determine it. I've said all along, if the crowd changes and turns, that'll be it. There's no going back then.
You don't want that to be the case, so do you? The guy's done as I've said throughout. He's been a good manager for. You don't want the crowd turning on him. That's the last thing we want. We need either PIF to make a decision on him or Eddie Howe to make the decision himself if things don't improve.
No, but even
supposing down that line.
But all I'm saying is, supposing PIF in their wisdom decided to back Eddie, the crowd will still have an enormous say in whether that's going well or not.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that we don't want to get into that situation. If PIF start coming out and backing him, then he really is, and he's gone basically. Then, isn't he? Whenever a club come out and back a manager, it just means that they're gone. So
I've just put in the Pardew Out signs up. I mean, it was sackpardew.com. It was everywhere. Like I say, it seemed to really hit home. When you started to see the banners and everything else being waved across sackpardew.com. And you're absolutely right, Boki. I think when that type of thing happens, it's gone too far, I think. You know what I mean? I think, like I say, I think the problem is, well, I say that it's a difficult one because I was listening to Chris the other day when he did his solo stint, and it's a difficult time.
I came out well in that, didn't I?
You did, absolutely. You seem to be the topic of conversation, even when you're not there.
I cannot wait for tonight.
I bet. And it's crazy to think though, like when you weigh it all up, their hands are tied because of the amount of competitions they're in, and I think that is lifeline at the moment. I think it's the fact that he is vying across all competitions, and he's doing, he's doing a great job, if you like, in the cups, getting us so far. I suppose the acid test will be the Man City game, home and away, and then obviously Bournemouth in the FA Cup. Because I think if he drops out of the Bournemouth game, and we do lose the other side of it, we are in dire straits, and I think that will be the time when it goes. Are you with us now, Tina?
I am indeed.
Yay! Hallelujah! there you go. She's with us.
Just a quick one on that, Gary. I think we need to remember Pardew never actually got sacked. He chose to leave. He went to a different club.
A different club, yeah. I think that,
by the way, I wouldn't rule that out for Eddie either.
Well, that's what I said. I'd have more respect for Eddie, if I'm honest with
you. Which club has ever came in for Eddie, though? There's never been a rumour of any Premier League club who's got rid of, like any big club in the Premier League who've got rid of the managers going for Eddie Howe.
Because they've obviously done the approach behind the scene, and he said no way.
Yeah,
I still hear rumours of that, surely.
But
I've heard of rival fans wanting Eddie Howe, but I've never actually heard of any club approaching him. I know Mark Goldbridge said he'd take him at Manchester.
Well, I mean, there was lots of rumours, wasn't there, about the England job? I mean, it was going crazy before Tuchel got the job, and it was a case of, Eddie came out and said he didn't even get an interview. He wasn't even shortlisted. So you don't know how much to believe in that, because, a lot of people, again, if he had a phone call and he turned around and said, listen, all my focus is on Newcastle at the moment. Thank you for your interest, but at this present moment in time, I'm not available. Then you can understand it going a bit cold and them looking elsewhere. Do you think it'd be the same now if the phone was rang? Happy New Year, Eddie. We want you for England, the FA. So where are we going? Like I say, again, whoever's in the chat I've just seen, it is a results industry, and like I say, a result tomorrow against Burnley will quieten down. Won't get rid of the noise, but it'll certainly quiet the noise, especially away from home, because as you well know, I believe in the 18 games we've played away in 2025, Newcastle have won 5. So it's not great reading, when you look at it in the calendar year. I was going to ask everybody in the chat, and if you're watching this on a repeat, and that's something that you want us to have a deep dive in, and maybe do a New Year's show on the year 2025 under Eddie Howe. Maybe that's something that we can dig up. But I'm sure I have recently read out of all of the 18 away games that we've played, we've only won 5 of them. So it's not great reading.
I think to be fair to him, Gary, though, he won the one game away from St James's Park that we'd all wished for
that counted
for footballing lives at Wembley. So
that's what I'm saying.
You've got to give him.
That wasn't strictly an away game. That was a new.
No, that's why I said away from St James's Park, not an away game. But he won that game, so he'll always be remembered for that. But it's just he's took as far as he can.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, them days do seem a distant memory now. If I'm honest with you,
to some.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right, because I remember. This was the part that got me when I saw this. I was well amazed with how they set this up just before the buzz come walking past. But like I say, it's a distant memory for a lot of those fans that turned up on the day. And I one thing I hope they certainly don't do it and set fire to the bloody thing if they were to do it again.
One thing I would say is that you've got to take the manager that he was then and say he was the right manager for then.
But what's changed, Boki?
Well, he's the in-game man. Well, the things that haven't changed.
It hasn't. No, exactly.
That's but you can be on both sides. You can say. He did a great job.
Oh, hang on. You keep on saying I'm on both sides.
No, if you let us finish. You can be on both sides in regards to saying that he was the right man at that point, but now saying that he's took it to the level that he can, and thank you very much for what you've done. Get yourself away to wherever you want to go, and Newcastle United will get a world-class manager in and progress to where we want to be.
Yeah, but Tina, I was going to come to you, sweetheart, because I know you've been having issues and everything else. What you're a massive Eddie in girl, same as Win. And according to people in the chat, Davey saying I'm a massive Eddie out. Like I say, I'm not. I don't support Eddie like I don't support any players. It makes the 11 on a field of play to get a result. And when people start holding candles to individuals, then you don't see the game properly. And it's the same with management. When you start holding a candle to certain individuals, it's not just him that makes these guys work. It's the backroom staff and everything else. So I hold candles to the team and the squad rather than individual people. And that's what I said. I don't get upset when people come and go. I didn't get upset when Robson went. So Bobby, and like I say, I was one of them people that, like I said, I wasn't that bothered when he went. I didn't vote for it. I mean, Wynn did. I wasn't at that time that bothered whether he stayed or went. I think it was probably a little bit too soon. But again, I don't want to see clubs doing a knee-jerk reaction. They have to dissect the issue. And I think for me, the only thing that lets Eddie down week in, week out, and if you look across all the media noise now, because it's the media noise that's making a lot of shout. I want to shout out the Geordie journals, because they are seeming to be the ones now that are starting to find and put their finger on the pulse when it comes to asking that awkward question. Why doesn't Eddie change? Is he so stubborn? Is he so set in his ways that he can only play one style of football? Like for like changes, no difference in formation. Surely he realises now, having his fourth season in the Premier League, that no opposition coach sees Newcastle as a threat anymore.
Yeah, I mean, go on, Tina.
No, go on after you.
I think you're absolutely right. And, I've called him out for that very failure many, 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 many times. My argument has always been that his other attributes outweigh that negative attribute. But what we're seeing now is not showing that that's happening anytime soon. I hope it does. But
yeah, you're absolutely right. Let's do this one from Wazza. I think Tina might be a Turner with a loss tomorrow. I love that. Well done, Wazza. I love that one, mate. Go on then, Tina.
Turner.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I would never give Boki the satisfaction, to be honest with you. I would literally, until the day he gets sacked, I'll stand by Eddie Howe's side just to annoy Boki.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, in regards to like Eddie Howe's tactical, I mean, this season there was clearly a very strong change of approach to matches for Newcastle, and let's be honest, it was terrible. It wasn't a good. The sitting back, the super defensive after going a goal up. Yeah, going the goal up was fantastic. Sitting back did not work. And there are certain tactical changes that I think would be worth Eddie looking at. For example, against the Manchester United at the end, you could have said, well, he definitely could have thrown a different formation in there. Maybe he's had his two strikers on there at the same time. That might have been helpful. On the flip side of that, though, now that he's getting his players fit, the performances over the past couple of games have definitely been better. But for a crossbar here, a whisker away from the post there, we are still creating chances at the end of games that, with a bit of luck, could go the other way and could take us to the victory against Chelsea, for example, or pulling one back against Manchester United. So you've got that kind of double-edged sword of, okay, yeah, we could maybe look at changing the formation because it gives people something to go against. All of the Premier League managers know that Eddie Howe is going to line up with this 4-3-3 formation, and it maybe does make it a little bit predictable. On the flip side, though, if you've got a team that is still creating chances and still looks like they're going to get a goal playing the system that you're playing, why would you necessarily change it? Because, and don't get us wrong, I'm not saying, oh yeah, we should just keep playing 4-3-3 until it fails and we lose 6-0. Like, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying, though, is like, especially in that Chelsea game that I always come back to, like, we were the better team in that game for both halves. And I know that people don't like to admit that because we did concede 2 goals in the second half, but we were the team who came closest to getting the winner. And we did that more than one occasion, and that was playing Eddie Howe's rigid tactical system. So, yeah, I accept that it hasn't produced the results that we would have liked it to this season, but at the same time, it's not got us rock bottom and not creating chances. It's not glaringly obvious that the tactics are the problem, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy because like I'm just looking fancy a change there. How like I say, they bullied Steve Bruce and Pardew virtually out of the door, and I agree with that because it was awful at the time. And again, there was a lot of anger and animosity towards Ashley, and how the club was being run behind the scenes. And I think that was the big thing. And I think, like I said, I don't want to become, and again, you start looking, you just mentioned Chelsea there. I think you're absolutely right with the first half. I thought Newcastle were back to their absolute best. And, I think we caught Chelsea at the right time because Chelsea at this present moment in time are in a very similar situation to where Newcastle are. There wasn't many great managers out there for them to go and pick out. So they went with the next best thing. And that was a Pep Guardiola understudy when they bought Maresca in. And, for a while, you get that bounce. And again, when you think of the squad that he has to play with, it must be a nightmare for any manager to go into that side to start with because you're trying to pick a formation to suit the 11 players that you want to play. The beauty of him, he's got depth. I don't think what he has got is a lot of charisma. I don't think he's very good at the man management side of things. And that was the same with Amorim, at Manchester United. The bloke goes in there with a set mindset that he's going to play this system and I'm not going to change. And everybody, even the guys at the back said, you've got to have players to play this system. And if you're, going to stick in the mud and say, no, you play to me, I am the gaffer, then you're not always going to get that. And, we've been saying for a long time, I think we're starting to see maybe the negative effect of players not playing with a little bit of freedom. And we looked at Tonali and his body language over the last few weeks, and he certainly hasn't been playing to the lights. But there's no reason. And again,
and yet, Gary Tonali, in his latest online interview,
I've seen it.
Interview with the Italian press, is saying him and Eddie will be lifelong friends way after he leaves Newcastle or Eddie leaves Newcastle. He completely, utterly respects the man.
But that's wrong. When there shouldn't be friends.
Yes, they should.
No, they shouldn't. Eddie's his manager.
Should. Look at it.
Eddie's his manager. He shouldn't be his friend as such. Alex Ferguson never had players as friends. He always treated them as employees, and that's what they should be to Eddie. And he should. Yes, you can have a relationship with them. You can talk to them on a personal level, but they shouldn't be close friends to you. They should be players that you choose and you can drop or pick. And this is exactly the point we've been seeing. Eddie does have his friends, and he's got the friends that he won't drop from the team. So that's a problem, not a good thing.
But can I just kind of reply to that and also just pose a little bit of a question? So Tonali's saying that he loves Eddie. Eddie's clearly still picking Tonali. Everyone in chat and on, Borky and things, everybody's saying that we've kept to the same tactics all the time. Eddie Howe hasn't changed. So if Eddie's playing the same player in the same position, in the same strategy that we were doing last season, what's happening with Tonali? Why is he not setting the world alight like he did? I mean, I've heard people who are saying Tonali's not our best midfielder, he's not that good, he's been turned into just a runner player. Okay, this guy was literally everybody's favourite ever Newcastle midfielder less than 12 months ago. What's happened? There's got to be more to it than, the player, like Eddie's lost the dressing room. Tonali says he still loves Eddie.
It's not that. It's other managers have picked up on the fact of what we're doing. Other managers other managers know exactly how we're going to play, and have picked up on that fact, and now know how to coach their team not to allow her to do it. So it makes Tonali less effective. It makes all the players less effective because everybody knows exactly what we're going to do every game. And that's why a good coach changes tactics and changes things round so that you don't become predictable.
But if you're in this is and you're going to love this. This is even a slight on Eddie for myself. If you were the manager of a team, you've won a trophy, you've qualified for Champions League, you're the most popular man in the city, and then you do try to change your tactics, maybe for medical reasons, maybe because of lack of player fitness, and it goes as wrong as it has done for us in certain games this season, would that not scare you off changing tactics a little bit going forward? When the tactics you're using are still creating chances, but when you tried to change the tactics, you ended up conceding idiotic goals. Like every single time we went all out defense against these teams, you could guarantee a goal. The goal was coming against us, and it had happened over and over again.
Yeah, I want to come to that. While I've got this up on the screen because it's a good response, but I have got a response to that response. So let's have a look what Sandro says. Beyond his qualities as a coach and what he's given to me on the pitch, he's given me so much as a person. I'll definitely always remember him with affection, and I think he'll be part of my life in the future as well. In these 3 years together, he's helped me a lot on and off the pitch, and even today he continues to do so. He's really a good person, and it's no coincidence that he's respected by everyone here in Newcastle, fans and players alike. I have no issues on what he's just said at all.
I mean, my main point for bringing that up was that this idea that Eddie has lost the dressing room is poppycock for me.
Yeah, I
He's
don't.
not going to. Tonali's not going to come out and say Eddie's an absolute useless bugger. You know, I don't like him at all, and I don't want. I want to be away from him. They're always going to follow the
He didn't have to say anything.
So, but they do. They have to say something, especially with the likes of Tonali, where he's not been playing well. He's obviously having to do a bit of a press out to sort of try to justify himself. And
so hang on.
He's away. So you know, come on. He can't come out and call Eddie out. It's impossible.
No.
The only person that comes out and calls people out is Eddie Howe. He's done it twice to Bruno now. When you look back.
I mean, like I say, Eddie's got a way of protecting now, hasn't he, as well? And again, I want to go back a little bit because it does make me wonder about the style of play. And again, this is just hypothetical because I don't know any facts, so I'll put that on the plate now. But are we at a situation now where players are bored of the way we play? And, you know, it's the same old system that they've been playing for the last 3 years. We've seen him as the six, even though for me, he's a wasted player in a six because, you know, he's the one because of the recovery that he's got, that he plays in there. You know, Eddie loves Bruno, and Bruno's always going to be the favourite of the two because Bruno does push the ball up the field. He does progress the field up the field of play whenever he can. He wears the heart on his sleeve, and Eddie seems to like that type of player. Eddie likes to have that 5% extra, whether you're from the northeast or whether you come out with all of the the noise about loving the northeast and everything else. Eddie latches onto stuff like that, and I don't think. And again, you have to question the favourite number, because. For me, the biggest thing that I see now regarding the favourites is the Gordon and Barnes scenario. I think, Barnes at this present moment in time is probably our best player this season, this current season, not past, this current season. And I'm sure his metrics probably come back with that. But when you've got players like Dan Burn, I think he's a joint assist in the squad, you can see where the problems are. And we all said, this is Eddie's team now. He's got no players that he can bombard with negatives, if you like. He's brought these players in. And from what I've seen of these players, and I mean, I had Jacob Murphy falling over a blade of grass lined up before you talked about Tonali. There's certain players, for me, he's not utilising in the right games. Now, we all mentioned J7 and what a miss J7 was against Chelsea, because the players that you want in there to upset the balance, and as you quite rightly said before, Christina, sometimes it's been a given when we play the high press. You look back in time, the time when Newcastle started to change is when we're competing in all four areas, competition-wise. Bunt comes in and he changes it. You adapt. Eddie Howe takes that on board, but still maintains the same formation. And what that's doing, it's like the 4-4-2. The reasons why teams come away from 4-4-2, and there is still a couple of teams in and around Europe that play 4-4-2, because it's still a great system. And to a degree, Newcastle adopt a 4-4-2 system now and again, with Tonali coming from the middle out to the right-hand side when Murphy comes on the inside right or Gordon comes on the inside left. One of them will run inside and one stays outside. So it is a fluid 4-3-3. But for me, teams move on when you're changing the metrics. And if you look, distance covered year on year since Bunce has come on has depleted. So we're not pressing
Massively.
anymore as we used to. Yeah, we're not pressing anymore like we used to. So what that's doing is it's creating holes, because these players have never been bought for their defensive metrics. They've been bought for their athleticism. They want to drive forward on that front foot, win the ball high up the field of play, and get results from that. When you're starting to change the system into a different dimension, and again, people have talked about Eddie coming out and saying he wants more of a possession-based team, and that's why there's lots of talk about, the goalkeeper situation. Have we got the problems with both keepers? Well, it's probably common sense now that we have. We've got one that can kick and one that can't, and we've got one that can save and the other one that can't, by the metrics that's going around there. An amalgamation of two, if you can get Frankenstein to come and amalgamate these two, you'd get a great keeper. But for me, what Eddie hasn't done, and everything else is worked for him, he's got the right people in the right positions within a degree, but he hasn't changed that setup to keep hold of the ball. You've still got the athletic style players to go and challenge higher up the field, but you don't do it anymore. You only do it for certain sections of the game, and then you drop off into a more defensive. And by Eddie's own admission, he doesn't teach this. It's just something that the players are doing automatically. So there's something breaking down somewhere. Because if Eddie Howe is not saying to the guys on the field, and it doesn't matter who's playing, go to a 4-5-1 or go to a 5-4-1, where's that information coming from? Who's making that decision?
That's a good question.
He also hasn't bought a Maverick player. That's the one thing. He spent £260 million in the summer. Yes, he recruits some from Isaac, which we all know will come back. But in regards to that, he hasn't bought a player who's a game changer. He's bought players that can play in positions, but he hasn't brought somebody in who isn't an Eddie Howe type of player, isn't that sort of, reliable, 100% sort of going to give you sort not 100% every game, but sort of be 100% every game, or try 100% every game. He hasn't brought in a person who he can bring off the bench, who, as I say, brings something different. Every player we've got now is much a likeness across the whole squad, and they're all Eddie Howe players, which we understand because he's the manager. But as a manager, sometimes you have to think to yourself, I want a player that's going to make us feel uncomfortable. I want a player that's going to be able to change a game for us. And to be honest, we haven't really, Barnes a little bit, but apart from him, we haven't really got that on the bench.
No,
I'm not sure. Oh, sorry.
No, go on to it.
Yeah, just in regards to talking about players who Eddie Howe signed who aren't game changers. If you look at Elanga last season, that's a player who you would think you're buying to potentially be a game changer. Like, he's not the same as Murphy. He's not the same as Gordon. He's very direct. He's got pace that's unmatched in the Premier League. So I think, although it's not worked at Newcastle yet, I think he was bought to be a game-changing player. Nick Waltemada and Wissa are also players that could come on and change a game. They've got different styles from each other. Nick Waltemada with these Walter Messi skills that he had at some point. Wissa with just his sharp striking prowess that he's already shown for us so far. He gives us that extra outlet. So I don't think it is a case of we don't have players who can change a game. It's a case of we've got players who can change a game, but currently aren't.
I think a lot of these players that you mentioned there, Chris, I agree they're good players, and I agree that the can play in the team, but I hate to say this, but the steady Eddies, they're all Eddie Howe sort of style players who will keep the ship steady. Yeah, they've got skills, but they won't change the team as such, or they won't shake things up when they come on. They'll play the steady Eddie style of football. And in regards to that, we need somebody in that squad who can come on and not be that type of player that just, throws the cat amongst the pigeons and changes a game. And that's the one thing we haven't got. And we've seen that all season when you've seen the subs being made. You've seen it at Man United was a perfect example. You couldn't bring somebody on who was going to change the game and do that.
So who is-
You're going on about all season. An interesting stat here that surprisingly I hadn't noticed before, but it's absolutely true.
Statman?
Yeah.
From Phil D saying points 23, goals scored 23, goals against 23. Bit like our style of play. Same old, same old, same old.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly where we are, isn't it? It just seems as though we are stuck in this system of not really knowing where and who we play. So is it boredom? Is it the fact that we're not? And again, I go back to the Chelsea game because you make a great point, Christina, about that was probably, and I'm sure we all agree in the panel, that was probably the best 45 minutes I've seen out of Newcastle this year because we've got all the jigsaw pieces. The first couple of games we didn't have a centre forward. It was a makeshift with Gordon. We've had full-backs injured. We've had lots of, I suppose, excuses. Eddie Howe's had excuses to a degree while the results haven't gone for him. But that against Chelsea shown what this team can do when they're on fire. And my question is, when you're 2 goals to the good, why is the team still chasing for a third goal? When that's the time where you should be managing games regarding, headless chicken moments where you are just chasing a ball around the field. Because you're not going to do that for 90 minutes with all of the competitions that we're in. And I think that, to me, is, again, a dressing room issue. And it's not a dressing room issue where the players have lost Eddie. I think Eddie isn't really giving these boys the right information or the information that he is giving because they're not style of player. And we have got very much the like-for-like type of player on the bench. Nobody that's going to change a formation round. So we've got Whistler on the bench. So when you're losing your 1-0s, and that's what gets me, right? You're losing 1-0. You've got a centre forward on the field of play. Yes, he's got to have a rest. You understand that. But you're chasing a very weak Manchester United team that have gone ultimate defence, 1-5-5, right? There's no forward. They're just looking at the breaks with Xerxes to try and run it into the corners if he can. So for me, why stay with 4 defenders? You might as well have just took a defender out and said, right, throw Miley a little bit further forward in the half space to try and create something. Go with Lewis Orr and say, right, either come and play in midfield. I'm going to take one of my midfielders off, Ramsey, and I'm going to put Whistler on because I want to be attack-minded now. You've always got players that can just come and fill the half spaces if and when they break. But to go and throw Shaw up top now and then, towards the end of the game, he just said to Shaw, stay up there. Why? You had all the options to change something up off the bench until you made your like-for-like changes. And then it was lastminute.com. I just need something else to happen.
Why not?
Why saying versus Man United started with a back 5, not the player's idea.
No. Well, I mean, it's just to me that's the one thing that I think is going to be the nail in Eddie's coffin because, like I say, he reminds me very much like a lower league manager where you're vying for, as you guys know, my second team is Warsaw, where I worked for 3 seasons. So I watch them if Newcastle aren't on the TV and I'm not doing anything like that. If they've got a midweek game, I'll watch them, or I'll have it in the background to see how they're doing. And that's how they play. That's how the systems that the lower leagues do. They have a set formation and they virtually stick to it. Walsall have played with 3 at the back all season. They're the top of the league. They're doing okay. But that doesn't work for every team. And, other teams, and we're going to come to the Burnley team in a minute because they've got a number of players out with injuries and obviously off to AFCON. They played against Everton and they went with a 3-4-3 because of the amount of players they've got available and the systems of play that, he can use and utilise. Now, they got a good draw against Everton, I thought, because Everton are a decent team this year. But they've lost a couple of players through injury. So, for me, what Eddie has to learn and learn very quickly is how we can adapt this team now into a team that can style a different form. Not the 4-3-3, and it's no good keep going on a 4, him saying it's a fluid 4-3-3 because that's a go out of jail card. Your fluid 4-3-3 drops into a 4-4-2. I totally agree with them. But when you're playing 2 wide men and not one of them coming inside to change the angles or to change the attacking runs, and you're reliant on your 2 youngsters to make inside runs to double up, especially on the left-hand side with Louis Saul, there's something wrong. There's something wrong with that tactic for me. And he's not utilising the right plays in the right areas to get the strongest side out. And for me, unless he goes and gets a Rodri, a decent DM, somebody who can keep hold of the ball, somebody who doesn't give the ball away. And again, that's another thing. Tonali plays in a 6. And how many times has Tonali given the ball away really cheaply over the last few games? It's criminal to think that is your deepest player in midfield and games are won and lost in them areas. Keep hold of the bloody ball. Play it simple.
I mean, I've been saying for a while.
Just one quick point, Christina. We've got over 150 people watching and less than 50 likes. Can we all back that like button forward?
A second, so I haven't done any of that. There we go. I've done a like now.
There you go. Done.
There you go. Got one.
I'm told off by Mr. Bulky, so I had to do a like.
Yeah, I mean, tomorrow when you look at what he's got out, I'm going to bring his stuff up in a minute because, like I say, the lad, I'm talking about Parker here. I respected him as a player. He wasn't the world's best, but he certainly gave everything he could when he put a shirt on. And he does exactly the same as a manager. To me, he's very low key. He's another Eddie Howe for me, and I do think that is, like I say, Eddie Howe's levels. It just seems to me as though them are his ground marks. And I hope that in the January, if they are going to go until the end of this season, which I believe they will do, because like I say, I think it's very difficult to get rid of Eddie and do a knee-jerk reaction at this present moment in time, to get somebody in. I think what he has to do in January is buy players that will get him out of this jail that he's actually putting himself in and throwing away the keys.
Would you give, you're saying you need to buy players. Would you actually give Eddie, would you back Eddie? Well, question for you as well, Taylor. Would you give Eddie money to buy players? Bearing in mind he spent £250 million, as we keep on being told in the summer, albeit, as I keep saying, we didn't really spend it because we had 120 of it that we got back. And that was a massive hole to fill. Was I saying, Calvert-Lewin thriving on crosses, and we are top on crosses. Calvert-Lewin, who, had we signed him, by the way,
would have been injured.
Well, probably would have been injured, but would have attracted enormous criticism.
Yeah, a lot of hate going around that rumour, wasn't there?
Oh, a lot of hate.
I think we'll all have to sit here and say none of us sat here and said we wanted Calvert-Lewin, so
I didn't identify him as a top target, so I can't say otherwise. But yeah, I didn't see him having a worldie of a season. But then again, I mean, we got rid of Chris Wood, which I didn't exactly object to, and then he went on to have a worldie of a season. So
yeah. Again, it's all about feeding the horse. You know, like I said, if you look at the way we crossed the ball against
Are we allowed
Manchester
to play
United,
with a horse?
well, not really, because they've got 4 legs, and it's cheating, believe it or not, because they
That
can
is
run
kind of
faster than
cheating.
you
That's
with
what I was
2.
thinking.
It is crazy though, because the first half with Walter Marder in the team, we played along the floor, and to be fair, he was very weak. He gave the ball up quite cheaply a lot of the times, couldn't hold on to it. He did have 3 players on him though, and again, we talk about players. I hate saying it. To me, it was more the fact that mentally we went there with it's a must-win mentality to we must not lose mentality. Again, it felt there was a disconnection between the forward line and the midfield. Nobody really got up to him. Ramsey did a couple of times, but nothing to really worry about. And when he did get up there, like I say, he fell over a blade of grass. I just think when you know, going back to what you said, Win, would I give him the money? You have to, for me now, you have to look. We're coming up to the last game of the year 25. We're going into a new year. If they've done their due diligence,
Easy for you to say.
You say with your teeth in. If they've done some work behind the scenes to line up the next thing, if they've done a Brighton and worked out the man that they want on board for the next job, then no. But if they haven't, Ross Wilson's the man now. Should be leading the way forward. It shouldn't be Eddie Howe anyway. Ross Wilson is now tasked to plant the seeds of the future for Newcastle United. Now, from all the rumours, and again, another one's come in today with this Simon Eriksson from Elfsborg, 19-year-old goalkeeper. Yeah, he's come on board today, and apparently described as the new Courtois. So that'll be an interesting one. Again, you've got Keith Smith, who has been saying that they want a £60 million on his head now because
Wonderful, isn't it?
all of the attention. And this is what I said: the longer that lad stays at Alkmaar, the more his money's going to go up because of the amount of what he's doing there. He's literally ripping up trees at the minute. Then you've got, we could be going in for this Daryl Bacola from Marseille, another 18-year-old, because again, he's a cheaper price tag than the 60 million. He'll come for around about 35 million. And according to it, and I don't know whether you guys have heard this, Newcastle have now assessed the knee problem on Ante Elanga, and have a guess what they found?
Nothing.
He's got 2 of them. So there's no reasons why you can't run.
In one leg? I've misunderstood. Sorry, no, you mean he's got right. I get it. Sorry.
What was I saying, Bogey? You have to be likeable to get a like.
Yeah. You absolutely murdered me, Gil. Oh, bless you. Yeah, I mean, he should be fit. And again, apparently he took a whack against Chelsea and wasn't feeling too well. You talk about moving players on. Let's go and do a bit of news before we move fully over to the Burnley game.
Funny, Gary, because just quickly on Elanga, he made me feel sick as well. So, I mean,
yeah,
if he's not feeling well, I completely get it.
Joe Litton's tied down to 28, and Newcastle are looking at £50 million if the Saudis come forward with their interest. You reckon we'll get 50 million for him?
Easily.
But J7, where?
Aye.
For selling him to the country that literally owns our club, I don't see why we would have to accept anything less.
I think as a Brazilian international, he's going to command a higher price, isn't he? And he's a prestige player for to go over there for them. So if he's willing to go and we're willing to sell, I don't see that being a massive problem.
But then you're missing J7 and you're going to need to replace that.
Gary Kilvington here, they've turned down 60 million. But he won't move in January, and will move. And they're holding on to him till the summer, according to Romano, for 80 to 100 million. So yeah, I mean, he's totally out of Newcastle's radar on that one. Kieran Trippier's future at St James's Park has decided over the next few weeks, with interest from Neom Sports Club. If Newcastle get a cash offer in January, Trippier will be allowed to move on, as it is his last chance to cash in on the defender. So there you go on that one. And obviously, as been mentioned already, Cadiz has agreed the loan for Cordero from Newcastle. So when his Westerlo loan deal ends, he'll be going to Cadiz.
Just
Some
again
old
on that
breaking
one,
news.
Gary, we need to buy in another fullback if we sell Trippier straight away.
Well, I would anyway, mate.
Makes
I
sense.
think
Yeah, we do anyway. But if we get rid of Trippier, it makes it even a bigger issue if we don't
Yeah.
get somebody
I
in.
totally agree. I think
Especially
that's
considering they're
to me.
selling Kraft as well.
Yeah, like I say, 3 players must be for me. I'd go for another attacker. I'd certainly go for another deep lying midfielder. Like I say, there's a couple out there that I'd be turning my head towards. And you definitely need a fullback, maybe a versatile fullback that can be in either or. And again, you look at reports, and again, it's changed again. I was looking at before where it's talking about Tino now and Botman are discussing their future with the club regarding a new contract. I haven't seen anything regarding that from the club though, so we'll see what happens there. I was going to ask you boys about the Raheem Sterling business. Apparently, he's the outcast, and he's looking for a move away from Chelsea now. A loan deal with an option to buy up to £20 million. With the way our wingers have been, I'd certainly be looking for a loan deal, wouldn't you? Can't be any worse than what
It
we've got.
depends. He's on something like 400 grand a week at Chelsea. So
Yeah, I mean, like I say, you wouldn't be paying that much money for him. For him to get games now, he's got to start saying to himself, I need to, throw my wages away a little bit. Because, like I say, he's not going to get anywhere near that. You'll probably get 150. And it's whether Chelsea want to pay the rest of the money, isn't it?
Hill says, saying I like Borky, but in the nick for him, jail him. He's jailed.
Yeah.
Who's going to bail him out?
Being legged.
Yeah, crazy. He's expected to
Loathed or adored, but never ignored, Borky.
Oh, there you go. You've taken up the American Mags motto now.
Oh, hello, here's Assassin. Tina, jail for the 2 kneecaps, 1 leg.
Oh, bless you. You've gone. Mind you, killed me on that one. Absolutely mullered me. Let's have a quick look at the Burnley squad then that played against Everton with their 0-0. Like I say, I've put the both teams out literally as they was the last game, so there's no change from us or them. So they went with 3 at the back, with Dubs in goal, with Humphreys left centre back, Ekdal centre, and Laurent right centre back. Walker, Ukachukwu, Cullen, and Pires as your midfield 4. Walker more or less playing as a wing back, with Edwards and Larson and Brozier playing up top. Like I say, 3-4-2-1 if you want to go, exact, but it's not. It's a 3-4-3, very similar to the way Manchester United want to play. And again, played half decent against Everton. Didn't create that many opportunities, but also didn't allow Everton in behind. So they worked hard as a unit. Walker and Pires dropped deep when they needed to, with Edwards and Larson dropping in. Oh, sorry, I haven't put it across, have I? I beg your pardon. Like I said,
Irish Assassin jailed Tina for the 2 kneecaps, which is now jailed. And we've got a super chat in from Trolls saying free Borky.
hey!
Was enjoying being in jail with Tina?
I was going to say, that's some jail cell. That's a different channel, that is, by the way. So yeah, they like I say, they went with these wing backs with Pires and Walker dropping deep in the needed to, and Edwards and Larson dropping into the middle to do this 5-4-1 formation when they needed to. But again, on the attack, they rely very much on work ethics, Burnley, and like I say, they haven't really lit any houses on fire at the minute. So let's have a bit of a deep dive into where they are, because like I say, they are struggling. Burnley are in a rough patch this season. They've been struck with relegation zone and haven't won since late October, though we've steadied slightly and 2 consecutive draws heading into this match. Like I say, 4 losses, 2 draws is where they are at the moment. A long losing streak followed by 2 draws that have given them a tiny bit of stability. Like I say, there's a couple of injuries. There's, like I say, Cullen, according to these, he's going to be out for a while until February. I've got him in the squad here because it depends on what stories you read. Some will say he'll be out for till February. Some will say he's 50% fit. So we'll see where they are. Because, like I say, they are really struggling. Roberts has got a strain. Bayer's got a knee injury. Abdoumi has got a cruciate ligament injury. Esteve is doubtful. Even though his return date is for the Newcastle game, they don't think he's going to be fit. And they've also got players out to AFCON. Tuanzebe, Medjbury and Loyal Foster are all at the African Cup of Nations. So nothing on there. And like I say, Connor Roberts is out. Esteve, Worrell, Cullen. Like I say, there's no return date for Cullen, even though I've got him in. But I think he was going under a late fitness test to see whether he'll make it or not. And then you got Jordan Bayer. Like I say, he's out with a hamstring issue. So, like I say, he's having to adapt a formation with his fit players that he believes can do a job for Burnley. So it's going to be an interesting one, that one. I mean, there should be no real excuses for Eddie Howe, regardless of what team he puts out, surely.
Well, there was no excuse against Sunderland. There was no excuse against Man United for me.
Exactly.
And that's the problem.
Sure enough, you can't play Murphy against these, though. He was terrible the other night. Sure enough, Bonds has to be in this team somewhere.
I'm surprised he ain't. That's why I said I can't understand why he ain't.
By the way, Tony T, the known tree, has freed Christina.
Hey,
Burnley,
thank you,
he's my brother. Thank you, Tony.
Yeah, it's an interesting one when you look at the way these are. For those that are interested, the referee is Rob Jones, assistant referee Neil Davis, Nick Greenhoff is the other assistant, fourth official's Paul Tierney, and the video assistant is Nick Hopton for this game. So a couple of rounds.
Gary, with their formation, is this not crying out for what me and Wynn have been saying, but in kind of different ways? Either wins 4-2-3-1 or a 4-4-1-1 formation. Is that?
Yeah.
I think he's got to. It's let's put the cards on the table here. If Eddie doesn't try 2 up front on Tuesday for me, he is just becoming far too stubborn.
Yeah.
Do you think as well he's got too much behind this Pep ball in the Pep's idea of playing, and he's lost his own unique style?
Absolutely.
So, surely enough, it should be Eddie Howe football that we're playing, not Pep Guardiola Miro style football.
Yeah, it's time you gave the finger to Bunt and just let's get back to what we did best.
You can't play Pep football when you haven't got natural footballers in the side, and I think that is the problem with these guys. It's all about work rate, and I think that is, Christina talked about Elanga coming in and having an absolutely fantastic season last season at Forest, but again, Forest were a team that relied on his pace to break behind because they were a team adapted or adopted to being against the press most of the time. So when teams like Newcastle went to visit, that's what they were expecting, to be pushed back and then utilising the likes of Elanga to get in and behind where he's got grass to run into. And that was the question, wasn't it, at the start of the summer when we, again, with repetition with Eddie Howe, with going back for the same players, is Elanga doesn't suit our style of play because we are the team that press. Now, if he hasn't got the grass to run into, so what element of the game is he going to bring? He's never been a great crosser of the ball. He's never been a great dribbler of the ball. So, he's not a fantastic finisher either. That's why he left Manchester United. They got rid of him because when they had him up top, he couldn't hit a barn door from 5 yards. So when you weigh all the pros to cons, it comes with more cons in our formation because he hasn't got the grass to run in behind. And even when he has, I mean, you look at the decision making he's made this year when we've actually broke lines for a couple of times, and we've had the likes of Anthony Gordon free on that left hand side, and he's made the wrong decision because he doesn't see the game in front of him. He's very ball focused because he runs that quick. He just looks down at the ball. He doesn't have his head up. He's not seeing what's around him in the field of play, in the vision. And again, that was a great trait at Nottingham Forest because that was their reliance. That was their get out. And then the likes of Gibbs, White, and whoever was in the side at the time would try and keep up with him. And when he did get into the final third, he had an Almiron season. He had a purple patch where everything he touched just seemed to turn to Chris Wood and a goal. And we've seen that with players. But you go back to the season when Eddie Howe wanted him, he was an average player. He didn't really rip up any trees. And I don't know, like I said, whether Eddie Howe had seen something that he could change in him or he's just looking at athlete again. Because when you look at Elanga's pre-season training regime, he was training like you would see a 100-meter hurdler or, a track guy. He was very much, lower body strength to try and blister that pace on the off. And like I said, never rated him, and I've still yet to see anything in him that he can produce in a black and white shirt that will change my objection of him. And I'm sure if you went to another team, a lesser team that weren't so attack minded, weren't on the front foot so much, maybe he would go back to where he was before and be, an averagely good player. But at the minute, I don't think you'll ever see it in a Newcastle shirt, not under this formation and not under with these players.
Can you change this team around on screen, or is it?
I could do whatever you want, mate.
Can we take Ramsey out, stick Tonali where Ramsey is, and put Wissa in up front? So Wissa up front was thingy, not Ramsdale, Ramsey.
So you want Tonali in goal? Yeah.
No. If we take Ramsey out and stick Tonali where Ramsey is.
That's Ramsdale, Gary.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Saying Ramsey.
Sorry, mate. I was going to talk about Ramsdale.
I thought you were making a joke first.
I saw him moving them. I was like, oh no.
I thought
Bookie must have inadvertently said Ramsdale.
Wissa exactly there, but a little bit further across with Wissa up front. I mean, it worries
us. You've got these two a little bit.
No, I would keep them where they were.
So you'd play a 4-2-4?
Yeah, basically.
Well, 4-2-3-1, really, wouldn't it?
I mean,
would be behind him.
I would be hellish worried about not having a goalkeeper in, if I'm honest.
We don't need one, mate. We played that up the fork. We don't need one.
No. But you imagine that formation, how attacking that could be.
Yeah, the trouble is, if either one of these go down, who's your replacements for going into the games coming up?
But you could worry about that at any point. You can't go in any game worrying about players getting injured. It's counterproductive. You've got to play the team that you think is going to get you a result. And to me, that's a hell of a team. I would be really happy with that.
I would, but I think you're losing so much of these two in the progression side of things. Because again, unless you're playing high line, and that's what you'd have to do with that formation, you'd have to play a higher line to push them further up the field to close the half spaces.
I love that formation.
So, with both of these going into the channels, I agree with you. I think like I said, I have no issues with playing him. I just think, unfortunately, Eddie likes the tried and trusted. And that's what I said. When you're doing like for like. I mean, what did Wissa do when he come in against Manchester United? On his own. No, exactly. Because you've got 4 or 5 players around you all the time in a box defence. So you can't create space when you've got that. That's why you need to overload in those spaces in those particular games, because you get confusion then and you get blindsided with the goalkeeper. If players are willing to take a bloody shot, because that's the other thing, 17 shots and we only work the keeper twice, apart from Hall's off the bar.
But could you imagine how shocked Scott Parker and Burnley would be if we went out doing that? They will not have trained for that all week.
That would be panic in the dressing room once they got the team news.
Yeah, 100%.
I think obviously you would have obviously this to play against. You know what I mean? You'd have Edwards dropping in, Larson dropping in, and Brosier on the in the half space, if you like. So it would be very congested. But that's what you want. You want the areas that you're working in. What I found against Manchester United and towards the second half with Chelsea, even though we still had opportunities when Barnes appeared, was the fact that in these spaces, there was really no body. There was lots of bodies in the half space in these spaces because Manchester United just went onto the 18-yard box and stood there saying, shoot if you want, I'll throw my body in the way. And Newcastle just doesn't have an answer for that. Well, I was going to ask you guys, doing some tactical work, if you like, and we have to go to the goalkeeping situation. So with Nick Pope, obviously not feeling great, not feeling well before the game, he was put to the bench, and people said, me and Wynn said at the start of the game, oh, he's made a decision then. Well, he obviously hadn't because Nick Pope wasn't feeling well. Pre-game, that's the rumour. And then have we got to the point now then, as Ramsdale performed well, has he done enough to convince fans he can be the long-term number one, or do recent results suggest otherwise? And I think, for me, that is, that's where we are, isn't it? We know he's got the kicking ability, but question his clean sheet record. And I think that's what you've got to ask yourself.
Well, strangely, a lot of people blamed him for the Chelsea goal.
What, the second goal?
Yeah, the free kick.
Yeah.
Well, you can't blame him for the free kick.
I didn't particularly. And a lot of people blamed him for the Man United goal, saying he should have got to that. The fact that he got a hand to it means he should have saved it. I don't necessarily go along with that. I think they were both just absolutely excellent strikes. Do I think Pope would have had more chance of saving those? Yes, I do. I think, he's proven that he can make those sort of saves on a regular basis. But Ramsey's made a few good saves as well. And I don't think there's any doubt at all that Ramsdale's kicking we all thought was better. However, he had a few, as we mentioned during commentary, he had a few Nick Pope moments against Man United.
Yeah. It wasn't as comfortable as you thought, was it, at times?
Yeah. I think the truthful answer is neither of them are the long-term answer, are they? Neither of them are the right keeper for the long term. We need, and I don't know who this guy's going to be because I just don't know. But we need somebody who can come in and be a world-class keeper who can do the saves and do the distribution.
So
young Swedish goalkeeper.
Was I suggesting we get the ladies' team manager in, Serena Wayman? She's a winner.
Oh, the Lionesses manager. Yeah, she genuinely is a winner.
Our survey said, mm-mm.
Oh, my survey says, yay!
Yeah, indeed.
So you would ditch Eddie for Serena?
Oh, don't start that.
Yeah, that'd be a good one. I'm going to leave your formation on the screen. I can't believe it'll ever be that. I'd love to see it at Burnley, I must admit. Let's go into the injury side of things, because obviously Newcastle's poor season.
The only thing I would do there, by the way, and I'm surprised nobody's mentioned it, I would play 4-3-2-1, but I would have...
That is 4-2-3-1.
Yeah, but I would have Barnes in the hole. I would play 3-4-2-1 is what I would play, with Barnes and Walter Marder behind Wisser.
Well, I've got a theory, actually, if I can just quickly, before you move on to the next point, I've got a theory about this formation and why we haven't played it yet, okay? So, at the moment, we don't have a spare striker, and we've played against the 3 at the back team and purposely taken off like for like and kept it at 4-3-3. I think first day of January, we're going to buy another striker, and then we're going to switch this formation when nobody's expecting it, because everyone will be so used to the 4-3-3 that we're going to pull this out, and everyone's going to be like, and then we're going to go on a massive 20-game winning streak. You've heard it here first.
Wow, I like it. I like it. I mean, who would you pull out the back line then, Win? I mean, because that is obviously my next question. You know, we are fixed in a way regarding the defence because of injuries. So who would you pull out of this team to make a 3 at the back?
I would just move Maley up and take. So I would move Maley up. I would take Murphy out and put Barnes in.
So Murphy out, and you'd have Barnes in on the right hand side.
I would actually give Walter Marder and Barnes a free roll behind Witter.
So who would you have on the right wing?
I would have Maley to the right of Bruno. So Maley can drop back to right back.
So you'd have him in the orthodox 6, going on the angles, yeah?
Well, if that's what you call a 6, it's not what I call a 6, but just as a kind of wing back.
So you'd go for a 3-3-3-1 more or less, wouldn't you?
If you like, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Except I would have Gordon again with his running and defensive capabilities. I would want him to be cutting in like he invariably does
in
now,
these areas.
and looking to pass the ball to Walty or Barnes.
Right.
I love attacking football, but that formation to me just says we're gonna get hammered.
I mean, what you would get is obviously you would get that,
anybody.
You know,
they're just going to overload. They're just going to overload the wings. We've got nobody covering a wing back on either side.
Yeah, but
you've got Lewis Hall and Gordon on the left, and you've got Maley on the right, with Bruno coming back.
I mean, what you are expecting to play this formation on the offensive. I mean,
absolutely.
not on the defensive, because you can change that slowly. But on the offensive, it would work. But defensively, what you're expecting is a lot of people to cover a lot of ground to get you out of the poop. But again, we go back to that adage of what Maresca did to Eddie Howe, and it was Enzo. Just one player coming on of any stature that changed Chelsea's thought process. He went and sat in the hole, and it was like, come and mark me. And he just moved, 10, 15 yards more than Palmer did for the whole 60-plus minutes that he was on the field of play, to be fair. And it was that movement that we couldn't deal with, because when they picked the ball up, they then just were able to work that ball through the midfield into the channels. Enzo played in these areas just off the halfway line in front of the Chelsea players. And every time he picked the ball up, it was a case of, right, I've got to run. I can just run at you now. I've got 10, 15 yards to carry the ball. And I think sometimes, that's all you need. You need somebody on the field of play coming off the bench just to make the other coach question you. If you go in like for like, there is no questioning, because you're just saying to the players, fresh player, just mindset. Go on.
Sorry. If Malik Chow doesn't slip against Chelsea, does Enzo coming on get them a second goal?
No, we gave them that goal.
Yeah, so even though they brought Enzo on, that wouldn't necessarily have made a difference if Malik Chow had not tripped over.
But you think it was more of a 50-50 second half than it was a dominant first half like we did?
Oh yeah,
so
it was very definitely a bit different.
It was very much more of a boxing match where it was toe to toe in the second half, and yeah, it was. For me, it was a worldie free kick, and he gets his hand to it, He doesn't get it round the post, and it was the same with Man United. Again, it was a great strike of a ball. Never going to discredit the guy who took the shot and say, that you should have saved that, because that's just taking his effort. If that was a Newcastle player that scored either of them goals, we would all be having our shirts off, apart from Christina, obviously, waving it above our heads, because we'd all be shouting them out saying, oh, that's a worldie, that's a worldie. You can't do the same when opposition players do the same to your team. So for me, there were two well-taken goals. Yeah, the keeper might have or should have at least got his hand and pushed it round the corner, Dorgu's shot. If he gets his hand to it, we said it with Pope when it went underneath him, if you remember. That one he dove over. Who was that against? Was that Marseille? Where he actually dived to his right and the ball went underneath him? He come off his forearm. Yeah. So again, either keeper have made similar mistakes. And for me, what you've got to start asking yourself is, I'll tell you what, let me come to that question in a minute. Because, you've just made a question there. Enzo didn't create any other opportunities for Chelsea. So was them getting that goal back the fuel mentality for us to go and get that third goal? Is that the mental approach to games now? It's the Kevin Keegan days where, like I keep saying, I don't mind scoring 4 goals because they only can score 3. But I've got to score at least 3 to be safe these days, because that ain't going to happen every game.
That's exactly what we did, and we should have got the third if we'd been given the penalty that we should have had.
But it's not the Kevin Keegan days in regards to on his days. We could go and get the third. We could go and get the fourth goal.
Yeah, I agree.
Under this regime, he's kind of half-heartedly going for it. It's not sort of, all
yeah, but is that the mental approach? That's what I'm saying, Boki. Is that his mental approach now? Where you're saying, I'm not comfortable defending a 2-goal lead because if we lose 1 goal, we haven't got the mentality to keep the ball tight enough to hold on to that win.
In my view, if you're playing at home, playing as well as we played in the first half, if we're going back to the Chelsea game, you don't get into your mindset that you're going to try to hold on to the result. You go for the third, you go for the fourth.
I just think sometimes
kill the game.
Yeah, but you also open yourself up like we did when we went man for man. You haven't got any cover. You're reliant on everybody being absolutely spot on. And one mistake, and it was a mistake from Chow, and we all have them, led for Pedro then to go and have a run in at goal and have a shot at goal. And all I'm saying to you is, for me, the mentality is wrong to approach that goal the way we did. When they had the ball, all you'd got to do is say, right, everybody move 10 yards out, like Chelsea did with us. When we were hammering them, they didn't go on the high press. They just said, you know what, you have the ball there and try and get behind us. We were 0-0 back then.
But under Howe have we ever been free scoring?
No, that's what I'm saying.
Went into games and thought, we'll get the one first, we'll get the second. Yeah, we did it at Tottenham against Tottenham a few seasons ago. And yes, we've had some big results, but we've never been a team where you just think, oh, if we go forward, we're going to score. Yeah, we're just not that type of team. We'll score 1, we'll score 2, and then we'll sort of kind of sit back a little bit and relax and try to defend it. And it's not a great way to be, and that's what's lost with the game against Chelsea. That's what's lost with a load of results this season. The reason we've lost so many points, 13 points from being in front this season, is because
you don't know that stat off by heart, Boki.
I do. I'm just trying to
I know you were.
Just rubbing salt in.
Yeah, well, but no. If we've lost 13 points from winning positions this season. Oh, sorry, from being in jail. Well, yeah, from being in. Do you want to read it out, Win?
Yeah.
Jail Gary for saying like I say every 20 seconds.
Jail Gary for saying I say every 20 seconds. I keep on saying, when did you say it? When did you say it?
Yeah.
But, like I say,
it's catching.
In regards to this, we all know what the problem is, and it's just not changing is the big issue.
Absolutely.
On the flip side of that, what I was, if you don't mind me just quickly coming on with a
You
comment,
can
Gary.
no, crack on.
Okay, so first of all, under Howe's regime, we have had big scoring games. So I'm not going to turn that into a debate or anything, but we have had some pretty big high scoring games where we have looked like a team that can free score. Now this season's the one where we have tried to change it, where we have sat back once we've got leads. That didn't go very well. So I've been saying for months, we need to just start going all out attack, go back to exactly the words that Gary said. Fair enough, they'll score 3, we just need to score 4. And I think that if it hasn't been a change in mentality that's happened in the last couple of games, I think it's one that we've kind of had to look at. Because when we try to defend, it's been dreadful. We've conceded more goals trying to defend than we have just continuously trying to attack this season.
But we seem to be stuck in the halfway house, though, don't we? We're neither attacking with a lot of bodies. We're attacking half press rather than a full press. So at times the opposition can get the ball out really easy, and like you say, defensively we look as shaky as houses.
We're terrible when we try to defend.
Yeah, exactly.
Makes me nervous.
Yeah, but are we in a transitional point where again we have to look at what Eddie Howe sees in training? He picks a squad, and he's obviously seeing week in week out. We've got players void of confidence in front of goal, especially. You can see that by the XG. We just don't create enough opportunities. His words. We need to be better in front of goal. So are we in the halfway stage now then, mentally, where we neither attack or defend, we just battle, and are we just on an unlucky wave at the moment that we are unfortunately unable to maintain the win when we get a couple of goals because we are just Newcastle and on this unlucky, scenario at the moment. And you can't really blame Eddie. You can't really blame the players. Or is it the fact that we've got, again, going on what Eddie said, Eddie doesn't like to change goalkeepers or defenders very often because you don't get that stability. But because we've got lots of injuries regarding the defensive injuries and we've had to keep changing personnel, is that another area of concern?
Oh.
Gary, can I be honest with this one? I don't think Eddie Howe could answer that question. So us as laymen don't have a chance. I don't think he knows exactly what's going on, because if he did, surely he would be doing something about it more than he is. So I think it's an impossible question to answer in regards to, I don't think our coaching staff exactly know what the issue is, which is part of the issue.
But that's what Eddie Howe says, isn't it? We don't know why. That's exactly what he keeps coming back with. I don't know
Gary
why.
already actually said exactly in the middle, while you were getting to what you thought the problem was between. I think you actually said the exact phrase that I think is the problem right now, which is the lack of confidence. The team don't look confident. And I think that's a core to a lot of the problems that we're having right now, is a lack of confidence. Look at the one game that we're all agreeing recently that we played really well in was the game against Chelsea, where, to be fair, we looked much more confident than we'd ever looked over the last, at least the last 3 months.
We look back to where Wynn said we played our favourite football back in 22-23 season.
Well, 2020, we're on about scoring goals, my favourite of the season. And eight times we scored more than 4 goals, including 3 games away from home.
But it has to have a psychological
But even
effect,
Tony Tree and the known Tree was in there before saying, what you're talking about, 8-0, 6-1. When we get
this season, how many times have we scored more than 4 goals? Have we scored 4 goals or more?
No, we haven't, because we haven't been finishing dinner this season.
How many times this season have we scored 3 goals or more? You look back, we've had a poor season scoring wise.
Yeah, but that's the thing. The tactics that we had and a lot of the players that we've had were the same tactics, manager and formation that we've been a free scoring team in. So what is it that's changed this season so specifically that's stopping us from still banging in all of those goals?
But that's the thing, isn't it? Is Eddie, at the coach point of view now, he's realised that we're not scoring goals. We can't defend. So for me, we're in that halfway house. Let's
Yeah,
keep the
yeah.
ball in the midfield. Let's not lose the ball. And unfortunately, it's like when you say to the kids, "Don't do that." What's the first thing they do? They go and blooming do it, don't they? Well, anyway, the
we're
lads
getting
are
music.
on the verge of coming in.
How's it going, lads? How's it going?
Howdy do? How Jack? How are you,
Oh, we
mate?
got Jack from Talksport. We're going big time, man. We got
Oh,
Jack
we
from
got
Talksport.
big stuff now.
No, not big time, not big time.
We're gonna have a good old discussion of the current situation of Newcastle United. Can Eddie Howe fix what's going on right now, or is it? Well, I say that we need to keep him anyway until the end of the season, but some will argue that he has everything to turn things around. But we shall talk about that with Jack, of course, in the late night show here coming up soon. Thank you very much to everybody, Gary, Christina, of course. Thank you very much for doing the early night show. And yeah, I mean, what can we say? We gotta talk about it. Newcastle United,
Keep
man.
plodding.
We
Keep
gotta
supporting.
keep at it. So there you go. The late night show starts now, ladies and gents.
You are listening to NUFC Talk Radio, the voice of the Toon Army. Live daily on the website, on YouTube, and on every online radio directory. NUFC Talk, the voice of the Toon Army. Set up for maximum confrontation.
There you go, ladies and gents. We are live now on the late night show. Welcome, one and all. Don't forget to smash the like button. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, and of course, you can super chat and get your comments in front of everyone else's. Please do that if you want to do that. If you have any questions for Jack, please send the questions, and of course, we'll start talking about it. Jack, how are you, mate? Welcome to the show, first time show.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me on. I really appreciate it. I always take any chance to talk about Newcastle, even if it's not going the way we all want it to, let's be honest. But still, really, thank you for getting us on, and looking forward to getting into it.
Lovely, man. This crew, we're not your regular type, posh crew, man. We get right down to it, So, just letting you know, and me and Win, you'll get it. Me and Win have a love-hate relationship.
Right.
Me more hate than anything else.
He loves me, and I hate him.
But he is. Have you ever heard the term happy clapper?
Yeah,
I
have indeed heard that.
He is on steroids. He is that on steroids. So me, I like to think a little more. But anyway, we'll get to it. And Boki, of course, is a Toon fan over there from Newcastle as well. So
class.
All right, so let's get to it. Can Eddie Howe fix it? I mean, first of all, let me get Jack your thoughts on this whole situation this season. I mean, surely it's not rosy as some folks trying to paint it, because we're in a dire situation right now, mate.
No, we are. I think that what's happened in many ways is that Eddie Howe and Newcastle become victims of their own success. If you think about every full season, so not the first year of the takeover, but every full season, Newcastle have not finished lower than 7th in the Premier League. So ultimately, when you're coming into this season, even when you sell Alexander Isak and spend £200 million, you're expecting another year of progress. And I think at the end of last season, when you finished 5th and you've won the Carabao Cup, this year you're expecting to really kick on and potentially move into that sort of top 3 bracket almost, and really go for all the cups, have a really good run in the Champions League. And it's not transparent like that in the Premier League. Look, yes, Carabao Cup went over the semi-final against Manchester City, so doesn't feel too positive about that, to be brutally honest. And then Champions League, we should get it through to the next round as well, which would be great. But rightfully so, Newcastle fans are disappointed in what we've seen this year. And there needs to be something needs to change, because off the ball and on the ball, it hasn't been good enough. The fact that we haven't picked up any points from losing positions in the league this season is a real issue. And the fact that we've dropped 13 from winning positions is another massive issue. We're talking about one, if we could concede first, that's it, then game's over, no worries. And then even when we score first, we need to have a 2-3 goal lead. And even then we might not win. We had a 2-goal lead against Chelsea, we didn't win. So the only time, obviously Everton were 3-0 up. So that was 4-0 up. So brilliant. Now we won that one. You can't be 4-0 up in every game, can you? So there's some real issues. There really are, that need to be resolved.
Yeah. By the way, another thing that you may have not seen anywhere. We get put in jail here. by the folks. Tony says, Joe Chris, Ramsdale replacement for FK. I don't know who FK is. Was awful. But certainly, I asked, I don't even know if I asked for Hope to be benched, to be honest. I just simply just thought that maybe there would be something different with Ramsdale, which, by the way,
Yeah.
I would agree that he doesn't look as the greatest goalkeeper ever, but yeah, they put me in jail. That's what Tony put me in jail. Somebody has to bail me out. But I think that maybe I don't think he's at fault for anything, really, Ramsdale. I mean, he certainly doesn't look like, the main guy, to be honest, but does he at fault for anything? I mean, I don't know. I don't think so.
No, man.
Just on that, Jack, where do you stand?
Go for it.
Where do you stand, Jack, on the Pope Ramsdale?
Yeah, I think it's really
conundrum?
difficult. No, I think it's really difficult. I think you've got one goalkeeper who's a very good shot stopper. Definitely not as good as he was before his injury against Manchester United. I don't know if you remember that when he got his dislocated shoulder against Manchester United in the 23-24 season. Since then, he's been on the decline. Don't think he feels anywhere near as confident in his ability. Claiming the ball, he's not very good at anymore. Sweeping with the ball, he doesn't seem very good at anymore, as we saw against Marseille. And then on the other hand, you've got Ramsdale, who has always been not the best shot stopper, but he is very good with feet. And that is an important part of being a modern-day goalkeeper. It's not actually so much about the saves and keeping the ball out of the net, which sounds ridiculous, but a lot of it is actually about how they play with the feet. Think about Edison at Manchester City. He was the reason they played him all the time was simply because he was so good at playing out from the back as having a midfielder in goal. And Ramsdale is excellent at that. Unfortunately, Newcastle have two goalkeepers who, if they could somehow find one who had the passing of Ramsdale and the shot stopping of Pope, that would be brilliant. And James Trafford was that man, in my opinion. James Trafford was that man.
Do you think it was because at City everything got exposed to the point where they had to go get the best goalkeeper in the world?
No, and I just feel like it was just maybe a bit too much for him, that City move. I think that he didn't even necessarily want to go there. I mean, there was a lot of chat about him saying that he was basically told everyone, I'm going to join Newcastle. He said that to a lot of people. I'm going to join. He agreed personal terms in February. Newcastle, in my opinion, a lot of the summer transfers weren't our fault. Maybe Brian Mbeumo, Benjamin Sesko, what have you. I do think Trafford was definitely our fault. We should have 100% signed him. I know Manchester City had a match clause, but before the Club World Cup, Manchester City were not interested in a goalkeeper. They then watched Edison have stinkers, and we're like, okay, now we need a goalkeeper. There was that transfer window before the Club World Cup where Newcastle could have just agreed a fee with Burnley, got James Trafford, and I don't think we'll be having this conversation now because I think Trafford would have solved a lot of our issues. But that has caused a problem where we got Ramsdale. It's like having a sticky plaster, essentially, of the situation. Yeah. And next summer, they're going to have to buy a proper number one, whoever that may be.
It's interesting.
And you were confident that Trafford would be that quality keeper?
I think so. I think I've seen enough from James Trafford in his time at Burnley. Yes, the Premier League first time Burnley, it was a struggle for him. But then again, Vincent Kompany didn't offer his goalkeeper any protection whatsoever. But what he did do is it allowed him to show his ability from playing out from the back. I've seen it for the England under-21s, extremely good at that. Pep Guardiola wouldn't have signed him if he wasn't good at playing out from the back. And then equally, he basically got Burnley promoted last season. The amount of clean sheets he kept, saved, double penalty save against Sunderland at Turf Moor at one point, saved Wilson Isidor's penalty twice in a game at Turf Moor for a 0-0 draw. He is a top goalkeeper. He's just been unfortunate with the situation he's ended up in. Newcastle should 100% go in for him next year. Unfortunately, the price is going to be, twice as much because he's made that move to City.
Can I just ask you? Nice to meet you, mate. Lovely.
Nice to meet you.
And everything. Lovely to meet you, mate. Can I just ask you a quick question? Do you really think he's the best? Trafford is the best keeper we could get in the summer. You don't think there's better out there?
No, I think there is, but the issue is it's of achieving those players. We've seen when Newcastle have gone in for other goalkeepers, not goalkeepers, other players who the top Premier League teams wanted, and we didn't get them. Last summer, the amount of players who we went in for at the same time as and couldn't get, João Pedro couldn't get over the line, couldn't get Mbeumo over the line. We're interested in Dean Hyson for a bit. As soon as Real Madrid come in, of course, that's the end of that. So we've kind of got to shop in that level just a little bit below. And then with the ones who are good already, very good already, but have the potential to make it. And I'm seeing some of the comments here. Some people don't agree, some people do agree. That's absolutely fair enough.
Yeah.
That's what this is about. I just really like Trafford. I think he would be England's number one.
Well, to be fair with that, I don't know how many more options we really have as far as we're not going to get Donnarumma from City. We weren't even going to get him as he wasn't wanted at PSG. I also did say, by the way, you need to go out there and try and let him tell you no. Why not? But getting the best goalkeeper is not in the world one of the best. Who are they, by the way? I think we got bigger fish to fry. We got bigger fish to fry, man. Let me ask you the dreaded question. Vendetta here asking, Jack, are you Eddie in or Eddie out? If we lose versus Burnley, will that change you to out if you aren't there already? What do you think about Eddie Howe? Do you think he can take us forward?
I think there are rightful question marks of Eddie Howe. I think my issue is I'm not seeing any solutions to the problems at the moment. I think last year there was an obvious solution, which was bring Tonali in for Longstaff. And we did. And we won 9 in a row. Up until a couple of weeks ago, Newcastle were in about the same position as last season. I think we lost 4-2 to Brentford last year. And there was question marks over how then. And then, as I said, the result entirely changed. And the season transformed. This year, we're past that point now. We're not on that winning run. We have 3 games coming up. Burnley, Leeds, Palace. And you need a minimum 7 points, realistically 9 points from those games to get the season back on track. Because there's been moments this year where it looks like we're going to kick on. It looks like it's going to happen. And then it hasn't. That Manchester City win should have been a catalyst, and it wasn't. So these are the issues that I've got with what's going on. I'm still very much Eddie Howe in. I appreciate that people have maybe had enough of him now, but I think he's earned the right and has enough credit in the bank to be given the time to turn it around. I just don't know how long that'd be. And equally, I don't know if it just does get the end of the season. It's been a disappointing season and then we all part ways. But Howe's had question marks over him before and he's always answered them. It's just at the moment now, he's not answering them at the moment, basically. And we need to see some answers soon.
Do you see Eddie Howe changing? Do you think he'll change his ways in any way, Jack, or do you think he'll just keep going the same old way he's been?
Well, okay, so I think this is an interesting question because I think he is trying to change the way we play this season. I think the intensity has dropped off in quite a few games, which was, of course, our whole thing. Intensity is our identity. That was the mantra, wasn't it? He's realised that we can't play like that in every game, but I think we should time the moments that we do it better, and I don't think we're doing that well enough. There's some games where we just sit off entirely and are so passive, and it's very, very odd because it's not how we've been. And even some of the fight seems to have gone up with some of the players. I want to see, for example, against Boxing Day, Walter Marder had a little bit of a scrap with one of the Manchester United players. Where were the rest of the lads piling in? Get involved. Get in their faces. Like, we're a team. Fight together as a team. So I think he is trying to change the way we play, and we're just caught in the moment between the transition of trying to go from this aggressive, high-pressing team to a team that are better in possession. But a lot of the players are better at that high, intense, aggressive style of football. When Newcastle finished fourth, we were a better sum of our parts, weren't we? We made Longstaff look better. We made Joe Linton look better. We made Joe Willock look better. We made Murphy look better because of the way we were so aggressive and pressed so high, won the ball, hyped the field all of the time. We can't necessarily do that with playing 3 games a week. So that's what we're stuck between. He is trying to do it. You can see he's trying to do it. But at some point, you might have to just say, let's just go back to being aggressive for a bit until you get the players in who can play that style of football. I don't know.
We got a super chat there from Warren. Says Marmoush and Trafford for Tino, much better deal. Well, Tino, it's again, people were waiting for Tino and Hull, where they were hurt, to come back, and they were the solution. So they came in. We played great against Man City. I believe Everton. I don't know if they played, both of them played. Maybe they did. I don't know. I can't remember now. But we played great. But then we went back to the same old, same old. Now waiting on Wissa to come back, and mighty win there. Christmas is over, by the way. Win. I didn't know if you knew that. But
One game
he's got
to
his
go.
back on his. And then Wissa comes in, and then Wissa, Wissa, a poor lad. I mean, just like I was defending Voltamata, I'm going to defend Wissa. They can't really do much unless you feed them the ball constantly for them to score, for them to finish the plays. And what is the solution? I'm not sure. This is my take, Jack, and see what you think about
go
that.
for it,
This is me. I don't think Eddie Howe can take us to the next level. I think that we are going to be at best in this same situation where next season we might finish in Conference League or something, and then next season we're going to be the same old, and not perform, not get the results that you expect against Burnley at home, 10 men, who barely beat Wolves 1-0 with the first game for Voltamata. That's just a few games, just to mention. It's going to be the same old. It doesn't seem like he doesn't change. It is weird to me. I was saying it on the other show when I was doing solo show 2 days ago, I think. I've never seen a manager that he is losing or has the game equalized and doesn't do something to go get another goal, or to, like, it's the same thing, like for like changes, and that to me is not just a one-off thing. It seems to be a pattern. That's what he likes, going with what he trusts and believes, but unfortunately that hasn't been working out. And I think that he shouldn't be sacked now. I think we should wait until the end of the season. The ownership now have until the end of the season to find the right suitor, because I want to go a step above. I don't want to go and sign an Areola or, with all due respect, a Glasner, who really haven't proven anything in football, really, other than, I mean, you won the FA Cup, of course, with Crystal Palace is nothing small. But to get somebody maybe like a Xabi Alonso, if he were to leave Real Madrid, or any of these other better names, if you will, so we can make an upgrade, and therefore see if we can start challenging and start competing with Champions League and on a yearly basis. But I just don't see that in Eddie Howe anymore. But also I'm also getting criticism from some fans that watch the shows, and because they want him sacked now. But I think it's detrimental to sack Eddie Howe now, because who's going to come in and manage? That's the problem. We can still somewhat salvage next season, I think. So I think it's a lose-lose situation anyway. You got to make a decision, though.
No, yeah.
Anybody jump in?
No, yeah. I was going to say I'll let someone else jump in first.
Come on, when you've been deflated, man. Hold on, but give me a second. When
Go on,
are you starstruck or something? Because Jack is in front of you, man. You're like, you don't want to say. Are you okay, man? Win. You all right, man?
I don't want to shoot you down in flames with a pedigree guest on. Put it like that.
But listen, you're on the dark side now, man. You've been a happy club here all your life, and now you have said Eddie Howe out this weekend on the match reaction.
We've got a pedigree guest and a mongrel presenter. There you go.
Listen, you
it's
said
a lose
don't try to
situation. Bring a Xavi Alonso in. Names. That'll be the magic bullet. What a load of bullshit.
No. But I just told you it would be a lose-lose situation. So you got to make a decision. You got to try to go get somebody that might work. It might work. But you got to do something, because continuing like this. By the way, aren't you Eddie Howe out now? I literally heard you. Or unless you were just lying to the fans.
Well, what I've said is wait till the Christmas fixtures are finished. We've got one to go, and if we win that
Christmas
game, we can be within 3 points of Champions League, which was always my line in the sand.
So
Jack, any manager at Newcastle,
we have a group chat, Jack, that when it's been proven on the channel is saying, "I'm now Eddie Howe out."
That was after the Man United game. After the Man United game, I said, "I am." My first comment, if you check it all, by the way, was Newcastle. The board, PIF, should now be looking for a replacement. And I said, on the basis that the Man United result meant that we could no longer be within 3 points of Champions League after the Christmas fixtures, I was Eddie out. However, if we happen to beat Burnley and we're still 3 points behind fifth place, which could happen.
But look, but listen to where we come to, Jack. Man, it's Burnley.
It's where we were last season, man.
It's Burnley. We are hoping to beat Burnley, and that fixes everything all of a sudden.
I'm not hoping to beat Burnley. I'm expecting to beat Burnley.
Well, just like you expected to beat them at St. James's Park with 10 men.
Which we did.
They had 10 men.
Which we did.
You see how we played that game?
We did beat them.
Barely, man.
They had
10 men.
Never mind barely.
Oh man, this is criminal, man. This is criminal. And you say this in front of a guest, man. You're supposed to somewhat
absolutely. I'll say it in front of anybody. So some of the results this season have not gone for us, no doubt about that. And a lot of the blame for that happening has been self-inflicted.
Don't
self-inflicted by the manager.
Yeah, close your ears.
Actually,
I wasn't expecting that. I thought you were going to blame Isaac because everything is,
that's the root cause of everything that's gone wrong.
We blame everything on Isaac now, Jack. Everything is inflation. Everything on Isaac. Yeah.
No, Jack. What do you see again? The American Mark talks bullshit, puts words into my mouth that I've never said. Gives me opinions that I've never had. And
you have not blamed everything on Isaac.
He's renowned for it. Isaac resulted in us having the absolutely abysmal transfer window that we had.
Hang on, how did we have the worst transfer window we've ever had when you came out and said this is the best squad we've ever had?
Because as you rightly say, the two things can be true. We have got the best squad we've ever had, but it's not as good as it could have been if we had had the 130 million to start that transfer window when we would have got him, when we would have got Pedro, and we would have had a completely different set of players coming in to those that came in. Simple as that. So Isaac was to blame for that. However, that does not alter the fact that Eddie's in-game management and substitutions on numerous occasions this season have been wanting.
So how
we
long
can all say that.
How long do we go? Well, I mean, Jack, you said time will tell when Eddie Howe
results will speak. The only thing apart from results which will affect Eddie Howe is if the St. James's crowd turn.
Oh, here we go.
If that happens, he's out.
Man. No, there's no other fans in the world no more. Just St. James's Park.
They're the ones that count.
Newcastle only has 50,000 fans, man. That's the only ones that matter according to Win. Okay, yeah, man. It's curve. And by the way,
the online posture in the world will have no effect at all.
Well, hold on, we got VAR here. We got VAR here, so let's go.
All I'm saying for me now, respect for what you've done, but I think now's the time to see the levels that you can compete with and the levels that you can't.
Especially to the moon is saying, when are you Eddie in or out? I'm Eddie out now.
Oh, there it is.
Keep it going. Keep it going.
No.
Keep it going.
No. You say what you need to say, man. Listen, you can't. You said
what you said. The BBC did to Donald Trump.
You did. No, those are your words. Those are your words right there.
Yeah,
that
but keep it
AI.
going. Keep it going.
No.
Continue what I said.
I give you a get out on that because I thought that when you said it, he's not going to think this. And people thought I was taking the mick. When I says, happy clappers, think about what you think. Give yourself 24 hours before you make a decision. But you said that. So it's completely down to you that you said you want Eddie out.
Keep it going. I said, time now for PIF to be looking for a replacement.
By the way, so just a word of advice from Fancy Jack. Jack, take some time to process over this. This isn't your typical show, mate. You know, it's
great.
you know.
This is great. This is
But
great.
I mean, what would be
Newcastle
your
fans are like Newcastle fans, right? That's why I love Newcastle fans. Okay,
yeah.
so passionate about their football club, and other fan bases. I think I always have an argument with people and always say it does genuinely mean more, and they always disagree with me. I'm like, you don't understand because you're not a Newcastle fan. It does genuinely mean more. So this is why I love things like this, because you can have the same thing, you could have the same, exact same season so far, and we all have entirely different views on it and what have you. So I really like that. Also, Becca, I saw in the comments, said that she saw my reactions on TalkSport, so thank you. I appreciate that on the cool show and stuff. So, but yeah, look, I think this is really, really difficult situation for Eddie Howe. What I will say is I do agree with Win is that the St James's Park crowd have not turned even remotely yet. No. You know, that they really, really are positive, and they're still massively behind him. And it's because we've got to say he is arguably our best manager we've had. I don't understand. I don't know how you can maybe say a guy who's won a trophy, got us in the Champions League, etc., is not up there with the best managers that we've ever had. And whenever he does leave, there should be a statue or some form of permanent commemoration for what he has done. So you've also equally got, but equally I understand that because of the expectation he's delivered now, this season's become a massive disappointment in many ways. And some of the performances have been the worst of the era, I think. I watched West Ham. I watched West Ham in Butlins, hungover, drinking Carlin out of a plastic pint cup. And it is the worst football experience of my life watching that in that state. It's horrendous.
In the snooker bar.
In the snooker bar, you know it. In the snooker bar,
which is crazy is that against Brentford, and then the following week we doubled down.
It was even worse. It was even worse.
It's criminal. Still by that is jail Chris for proving a point very badly. What do you mean, man? He literally said it. There's no way of doing this wrong. He said it, so I'm back in jail. But let me ask you, Jack.
I watched the Chelsea game that Isaac won with his backside in the 90th minute. That was a special occasion for me in Scotland.
That's actually a good one. Oh, that's brilliant. I've both got Butlins occasions in class.
Let me ask you, Jack.
You weren't at the Rock and Blues concert, were you?
No, I wasn't at that. No, it was the Naughties weekend. It was. Sorry.
Wait. I'll give you Jack's number so you can have a private chat, man. We gotta talk about football here, man. We gotta talk about football here, man. Because you gotta learn this, Jack. When talk brings all this stuff to not talk about what's happening. You know, he wants to deviate. He wants to deflect from what's going on right now. Let me ask you, what is as a fan, your breaking point to say, look, I don't think you can turn it around. It's just plain and simple. You know, something's got to be.
I think if we get, say, 3 points for the next 3 games, I think at that point then you're looking at it saying there's no way out of these three. Well, I think then you've got to accept that there's no Champions League football a chance of that, because actually what's so strange is that despite the fact we're 14th in the Premier League, the Champions League is still only, because I'm going to assume there'll be 5 spots.
Yeah.
Champions League is still close, which is ridiculous. There's obviously numerous teams that were ahead of us, but Newcastle have shown in the last 3 years that they can go on these winning runs, and especially in the second half of the season, we're a lot stronger. I think in every single year so far, second half of the season, we've been a lot stronger than we have been in the first half of the year. The issue you've got... No, go for it. Go for it.
No, well, I didn't want to cut you off. I'm sorry, but you know, still though, even if we manage to get into Europe, the way we've done it doesn't change. It's the same thing. You went to journalism school. You know, you study, you work hard. You deserve that. You earn that, as opposed to me if I go and I'm just cheating or just guessing ABC, and then I pass the test by just being lucky. It's not the same though. That professor who would that professor choose if he were to say who deserved that more? You know what I mean?
Okay.
That person that studied hard day in and day out, or that person that just barely showed up to class and passed it barely.
I think that's fair, but I think you finish where you deserve to be at the end of the season. The table
38
doesn't lie.
games.
The table doesn't lie at the end of the year. If whenever Newcastle have been relegated, we deserve to be relegated those years. There's not any question about it. And last season, Newcastle did deserve to finish 5th because I would argue from that December period until probably maybe say April where we dropped off a bit. We're one of the best teams in Europe. If you look at the form, one of the best teams in Europe in terms of the games we won, the teams we beat. So we deserve to finish where we did. Yeah, it was a bit close at the end, with Aston Villa losing to Manchester United somehow at Old Trafford. But we did deserve to get it in the end. So where you finish it does matter, and it does mean that you've deserved that. It's just the problem at the moment, as I've said, is it doesn't feel like there's an obvious fix for one, because that was always my thing with this season at the start. I wasn't too worried because I was like, okay, look, we're in the same position as last season. But now we're past that point by a couple of games, and we've picked up 1 point from the last 3 games. And one of them was the derby. One of them we were 2-0 up. And one of them was against a Manchester United team who didn't have Bruno Fernandes or any of their AFCON players. It's not good enough. It isn't good enough. And then you're going into Burnley, Crystal Palace and Leeds, and you need to take 9 points, in my opinion.
Jack, can I just pick up on a couple of points?
Yeah, go for it, yeah.
Firstly,
1 second. Irish, thank you for the super chat, mate.
Sorry.
Freeing me there for the injustice that was done earlier on. Go on, Bogdan.
No problem. Firstly, do you think that there's not a major issue that we start off every season with how so poorly? We do seem to start every season in the same way and then have to go on one of these runs to pick up the points to go with it. And secondly, have you ever seen any change from how, like in regards to obviously formation? Have you ever seen any change in formation from how?
Yeah, okay. You know what? These are absolutely 2 valid points, and like I'm more than happy to get into them. I think with the start of the season stuff, I feel like that is definitely an issue. I think that first year, so the one 2022-23, where in the end we finished 4th, that was probably just more sort of the team sort of gelling together a bit. Then we had a World Cup, which probably, because to be honest, before the World Cup, we'd actually hit some really good form, because I remember Almiron went on that, because Jack Grealish slagged him off and then he couldn't stop scoring. So, and then the World Cup hit, and after the World Cup, it was more the period after the World Cup until probably the January, where we didn't win a lot of games. Like we drew like Leeds 0-0. I remember drawing Bournemouth, like Palace, like games that we probably should have won really. So that one was a strange one. Season after, injuries, in my view. I mean, look, at one point we had 14 fit players. I think we were playing the same 11, 6 games in a row. That was Champions League, Premier League, Champions League, Premier League, Champions League, Premier League. And Trippier
10 games in 30 days.
That's what, there you go. And
In
I'm pretty
December.
sure, exactly, and we had anyone fit. So, like, Miley was 17 and he was playing every game. It was insane. And then, once the players came back and everything resolved itself, we finished really strongly, and in the end we're a bit unlucky not to actually get the Conference League place, because Manchester United beat a hungover Manchester City in the FA Cup final, didn't they? So that was a shame. And then last year, yeah, that one was probably the more concerning one, I thought, because there's no excuses for that. I remember watching a couple of games against like Palace, where I think we had a shot on target, and Bournemouth at the start of the season. I was just like, what are we doing? We look absolutely useless here.
Well,
then,
hang on. Last season, we had to sell Elanga and go and BSO knackered. We didn't have a transfer market.
No, I get it, but I don't think that was an excuse, because at that point in time, Anderson was not a starting player for Newcastle.
No, but we didn't improve our first team. We didn't improve our first team because we didn't have any money.
All right, the transfer window was probably the worst in the Premier League, actually. It was absolutely terrible. It was useless. I mean, what we signed, Asula, Vlachodimos, Lewis Hall on a permanent. I mean, it was a hopeless transfer window. It was. They spent all summer trying to get Gay, didn't get him. So it was hopeless. So that was definitely a problem. So they're interesting. And then in terms of the formation one, I think he does play back 3. against Bournemouth this season for the 0-0 draw. We switched to a back three. Leeds, we played a back three as well. So I think he does change the formation, and I think, as I said earlier, just that he is trying to actually change the way Newcastle play football. It's just we're caught in this sort of halfway house at the moment between kind of moving away from what the Premier League's becoming, because all the other Premier League teams have caught up with how physical we were now. I mean, if you look at the derby, Sunderland bullied us, and that was embarrassing because that's what Newcastle do to teams. That was what Newcastle, and you know what? I think that's a fair point. I do think the derby has changed a lot of people's opinions because it was not only the performance, it was also Howe's reaction to it, which I did not agree with at all. I don't think you can come out and say, we can put this right with a win over Fulham in the Carabao Cup. No, you can't. And I'm not saying he didn't understand the derby, because I think he definitely does. I just don't think he actually understood how damaging that defeat was, because this is not the Newcastle and Sunderland of old, whereby we were both battling relegation. Do you know what I mean? And whereby we were meeting where both teams were pretty similar play level. I think Newcastle probably had better players, actually, but they were all mercenaries, weren't they? Like Sissoko, Wijnaldum, Perez, not Perez cared, but players like that who weren't bothered about being at Newcastle. So I think the derby was really damaging, because at this point, Newcastle have got players who care about being at the club, and they delivered such a weak and lethargic and pathetic performance. You know, once they scored, we had like 20 minutes where we didn't win a header, we didn't win a tackle, we didn't win 50-50. Like, it was embarrassing. And that defeat, I do agree, has probably changed a lot of people's opinion on Eddie Howe, because it is damaging. It does mean a lot. You can't put it right until we play them again in March. You can't. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. Very well put there. Now, we got a lot of games coming up, of course, that people think they're winnable. We've had a lot of winnable games this season, and we thought we were going to win them, and nothing happened. So what's to say that we're going to beat Burnley, Crystal Palace, Leeds? We already played Leeds away, and, a back five. We were scared. And against the mighty, powerful Leeds, we thought it was Leeds from the 80s. And then we were scared of that game. Then we're gonna play against Bournemouth, of course, but that's the FA Cup, and that's the problem as well. In that run, we got the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup all tight with Man City as well. That's gonna be. If you got any hope that we're gonna beat Man City with this form, come on, man. I mean, let's be honest. We got a super chat there. Question: Jack isn't just. By the way, be careful with Warren, because he's a little bit of a nutcase. But either way, thank you very much, Warren. Jack isn't just the case. We haven't had a squad for forefront. It's a bit of a task. Jack of all trades, master of none comes to mind. There you go. I mean, that's also a big question. Is he the manager to compete in all four competitions? How have we done as far as you mentioned the injury season, which wasn't good.
Mm-hmm.
But for that, but
my other question for Jack would be, one of my serious misgivings now about Eddie is that he seems incapable, unless he's got a week on the training pitch. He can't work his magic. He cannot get the players to do what he wants to do, it would appear, or if they're doing it, they're not doing it very well. And on the basis that we all want to be in the future in a situation where we have got 2 games every week, is that just a bridge too far for Eddie, which is one of my major concerns.
I think it's a valid concern. I've seen many people suggest within the game, journalists, sort of pundits, etc., suggest that they think Eddie Howe's the best sort of Monday to Friday coach going, because of the way that if he has that week break, then his Newcastle team was always usually absolutely raring to go, apart from, as I said, at the start of last season. But then there is that thing whereby, because it takes a while for players to adapt to what he wants. I mean, if you think about Lewis Hall, it took a whole entire season to be basically retrained as a left back. There's been other players who've come in and not delivered straight away. He didn't use Bruno Guimaraes immediately. Tonali looked, let's be fair, before Tonali's ban, don't think Tonali looked like he adapted at all. He had that world-class game against Aston Villa, but apart from that, not amazing. So I think it is a valid concern, because I think that there's players who, for whatever reason, can't take on what he's asking for all of the time. He's obviously incredibly intense on and off the But the only thing he's probably not intense in is press conferences. But I think on the pitch and on the training ground, you can imagine that he works them extremely hard.
Now that's another. See, now we got you, because you're bringing up all these points, but that's another point that was criticized of Eddie. Even with after the Mackham game, there's no passion. So, sometimes fans just want to be told exactly what they saw, and Eddie Howe seems to play things down, and to a certain extent, it gets to a point where it feels like either he doesn't care, or he's really that blind that he can't see what everybody's seeing. One of the biggest things, again, we keep repeating it over and over. Kevin Keegan told, quotedly, that he told Eddie Howe, do not lie to the fans. If they're seeing a dross performance like what we saw against the Mackhams and Brentford and West Ham and, all those games, and giving up leads here and there, sometimes you need that manager to just, say it as it is. And, I mean, you being a journalist, don't you think that's a fair point? I mean, I know you're a journalist, you want all the sound bites you can get. But
he's not a good. He's not a good interview. Like, to be fair.
Exactly.
So, everyone says that.
But at some point, you have to
Cheers,
show
Jack.
some passion, man.
Cheers, son.
There you go. You know what I mean? By the way, this is Wayne drinking, falling asleep, and saying Eddie. That's all. That's just that's the rotation.
Class.
But again, some people just.
I'm enjoying it that much. I thought I would have a little bottle.
Class. Chris, I think you make a great point. I think some of the things he has said after games are very like. I can't remember what game it was, but he said he was happy with the performance. I thought it was okay. Oh, it was Sunderland, wasn't it? He said he was okay with the performance on the first half. And all right, so the first half was just a horrendous game of football between two teams. And the only thing I will say that made a bit of sense about it was that we had quietened the crowd down, because the game was non-existent. There was nothing in the game. However, it's there to be won. We didn't win it. And the response to going behind was pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. I mean, Bruno Guimaraes, in my opinion, is the only player who could leave the field after the derby and think, you know what, I gave everything and I tried to win the game.
And he was doing a shot. And he had a word to say about it. And the manager comes on next and says that he was 90% right, except for we weren't a mess part.
Yeah,
we were a mess part.
No, Howe's got that wrong as well. I think Howe's got that wrong as well. And that comes back to that thing whereby I understand why this derby has been so damaging for him. I understand why this derby has led to fans thinking that it is time for a change. And I don't think anyone's going to be like, get him out of the club. Like, I've had enough. Yeah. It's more a case of thank you for what you've done. Maybe it's time you move on. I feel like that's the attitude I'm getting from people who want Eddie Howe out, and that is absolutely fair enough. I get that. I'm not there yet, but I'm a Newcastle United fan. I'm not an Eddie Howe fan.
Ooh, Wayne doesn't want to hear that. No,
but I've been so pleased with Eddie Howe because of what he's done for my football club. If it's not happening anymore, then maybe there has got to be a change. As I said, I'm not there. I'm not there yet. I don't know when I will be there. If I'll be there, because I'm still massively believe in Eddie Howe that he can turn it around. It's just, as we've gone over here already, there's some huge issues that are happening in every game, and there doesn't seem to be any solutions at the moment.
Just a quick question, all is.
Go for it, mate. Yeah.
What's the point of keeping hold of them? If we're all kind of agreed, I mean, Jack's a little bit further down the line, a bit further to keeping Eddie, but all would kind of agree that he's run his course. What's the point of keeping him for the rest of the season? Why don't we get rid and get the new manager in?
Because we don't necessarily all agree that he's run his course.
Hey, you say Eddie Howe, man. Don't go back now. We saw the clip, man. You saw the clip. But the point is that I think it's detrimental. You know, you've got to make an upgrade if you're going to sack Eddie Howe. You can't just, as a club, you have to want to make progress. And that manager that comes, nothing guarantees that the new manager is going to do any well or any better. Or nobody knew Eddie Howe was going to be a good manager for Newcastle United. Nobody knew that, but you've got to at least try to attempt to get somebody with a better or a bigger pedigree than what Eddie Howe has. And to be honest, I don't know who has a better pedigree than Eddie Howe now that's available. And I'm sorry, but I'm not going to give Areola a 2-year contract for what? Because now we're going to get Areola's players, and then we're going to get into this vicious cycle that teams get. That is, I think that's detrimental to Newcastle United. I think it is. But again, you might say, well, if Eddie continues like this, nothing changes, then it's going to be probably not even going to be in Europe, which is detrimental to our. So, like I said, it's a chop your leg or your arm off. You're going to have to make a decision.
What do you think about Irish Assassin's comment, Jack?
Yeah, I've just seen that. Yeah,
which is what Borky's been advocating for a long time. That he needs to change up the coaching staff to improve things on the basis that we've seen in the past that Pep goes through number 2s, so Alex went through number 2s, and kept everything fresh. Do you think that by sticking with his tried and trusted coaching team, with the possible exception of Graham Jones?
Yeah.
The rest he's had with him all the time at Bournemouth and everything. Do you think that could be an avenue for somebody to maybe come in and say, look, no, Eddie?
I think one person I'm disappointed in so far is Mark, the
set piece coach.
I mean,
the guru.
The thing is, right, Arsenal struggle to break teams down, like Newcastle. Okay, they do. Arsenal, though, score from set pieces in basically every game. And Newcastle have huge players. I mean, we've got some massive football players on the pitch. We can feel that I don't want Burnley at left back, but if you did start Burnley at left back and Botman's fit, ciao, that's 3 players over 6'4". You have Joe Linton, you got Walter Marder, Gordon's not the smallest winger in the world, Tonali's, and Bruno are around 6 foot as well. Newcastle should score from set pieces so much more often than they do. So I think the set piece coach is not working. That's one thing. I think the difficult thing about changing the coaching staff is that ultimately these are people who Eddie has worked with throughout his entire career and he trusts them implicitly. And one thing we all know about Eddie Howe is he is extremely loyal to the people who haven't let him down before. So I think Irish Assassin makes a really interesting point. I don't necessarily know if Eddie Howe would do that. And I also don't think it would actually work, because I think Howe, for him to work with anyone, he needs to trust them implicitly. That's why, a lot of the players that we have continually start and play every game, because he trusts them implicitly. And ultimately, that loyalty is starting to probably cost us points in many ways with some of the players. But I do think that was a great question, by the way. But
yeah. But another question here from Phil that I just caught. Phil there says, "Does anyone trust Eddie in the January window?" Well, what do you do? That's the interesting question. I think you guys brought up in the early night show. What would you do if you don't know? I mean, we don't know that Eddie Howe is going to turn things around, and even if he does somewhat, and he still was able to be released at the end of the season, or you're waiting to the PIF is waiting to see what he does. I mean, do you trust them to spend all the money in January and bring in players, or not? I mean, that's a very intricate question. My response to that, and then we'll get to you is that I wouldn't necessarily do that. I would do, I don't know. Semenyo's already going to Man City, I think, so that's done. But for the sake of an example, if he said bring Semenyo, I want Semenyo, then Semenyo is a good player, so you can use him with Eddie or without. So I would do something like that. I don't expect Newcastle United to make many signings, to be honest, in the general window. So just don't hold your breath. But what would you do is the biggest question on that particular case. You can start, Jack, if you want to. What would you do?
Yeah, I think that ultimately we're getting to the point where we're in the January transfer window. What starts in sort of 2 days ish. Ultimately, you probably do give him some money to spend because you've got to give him you've got to give him an opportunity to turn it around, in my view. And if that is with some signings, then yes, because I know Eddie Howe had a lot of control. He's basically, by the way, he's basically been the de facto sporting director because they didn't appoint Ross Wilson until after the transfer window. So all of the summer signings, all of the transfer involvements, he was a lot more involved than a manager is usually involved in. So there's that. If you look at the summer transfer window, I mean, this it's been unlucky. But there's not a lot you can do about him getting injured immediately. Elanga, it's just not working out for whatever reason. It's a real shame because I was excited about Elanga, but at the moment it's just not working out. Jacob Ramsey, I really like as a footballer. I've always really liked him. Don't know why he's not getting many minutes. That's a strange one. I know he got a little injury in August, but he's been back since then. So, yeah. And then Walter Marder has been really good, and Chow's been amazing. So, at the moment, the transfer window, I guess, it's still, I suppose, you've got to wait and see. So,
yeah.
I think, but then the question is, where do you actually strengthen? I've been having this discussion on numerous, on TalkSport, etc., and just been thinking, like, where do you actually strengthen? Because on paper, the squad is very strong, but it's not working, is it? So there's got to be something. And the only odd thing I can come up with is a 10, an actual number 10, someone who can break down these deep blocks. Who wouldn't even necessarily start this player, who I can't even think of anyone properly. That's the issue, but with the lack of options out there. But you wouldn't even start him in maybe a home game where we can still use our aggressive, intense pressing style, which we still use at home, but don't use away for whatever reason. But in those games where the team decides to sit back or just hit the lead, then you've got someone who can unlock a door and create an opportunity. So that would be the position I'd go for. But it's difficult. It is difficult. It's a difficult transfer window. It really is. January. It always is.
Yeah. What would you do?
But what I was going to say to Jack is, Pokey's always quoting me as saying, what a good transfer window because it gave us the best squad we've ever had. And I was basing that on the fact we're saying Ramsdale to replace Dubravka, Ramsey to replace Longstaff, Elanga to replace Almiron, and Wissa and Walter Marder to replace Isaac and Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
On the base of it. Now, unfortunately, we couldn't start with all of those players. And then, Wissa got injured, Ramsey got injured. They eventually got them into the team, and we all know that Eddie likes to take his time putting players into the team. And that simultaneously coincided with Trips getting injured, Tino getting injured, Hall getting injured. So we ended up playing Burn at left back, getting all the brickbats that he gets there. And so, again, Eddie, for me, has been, in this, I've always said this, he's been fighting with his hands tied behind his back for whatever reason since he came to the club. And this is why I was so adamant in backing him to turn it around as he always has done in the past. Like I say, my issues now are that has he gone stale? Are the players not getting the message anymore? Does he need a new coaching staff to bring in a new, a quality number 2? I mean, well, you were on about the set piece coach. We went out, got Martin Marks, allegedly one of the best set piece coaches in Europe.
So what's the issue?
We bought him from the team, which is basically called, Set Piece Denmark. It's the whole ethos of the club.
So what's the issue then, Win? Why is he not? Why is he not able to perform? Did he forget how to work set pieces?
That's Eddie. If I knew the answer to that,
well, let me suggest an answer to that, because Jack came up with a point as well about what was it, like in-game management or something along the lines, something along those lines maybe. But he made me think exactly what the issue is, which Eddie Howe. Eddie Howe is the man there. Eddie Howe is the man that will allow certain coaches to do their job or not, or say, I don't like doing that, I don't like doing this. Ultimately, he has the ultimate say-so on everything. That's why he's the boss of everybody, man. So you can also say, listen, I think this guy's draws. This new coach we just got. But what are the chances? He's that great that we got him from Denmark. He comes here, and I don't even know if we defend or attack. We're no good at it, neither. And as Jack was saying, we have the biggest players probably. I want to know, how tall are we in comparison to other teams? We're probably one of the biggest.
We're definitely one of the
players in the league.
We're definitely one of the. I think a few teams have caught up with us now, but yeah, we have been for the past few seasons. 100%. We can field an 11 of most players will be over 6 foot or close to.
Can I just say with the January transfer window as well, we're either back Howe or we're sack him. It would be my thing, because we're in 3 cup. The league's probably gone now in regards to winning it. Let's face it, that's not realistic.
Well, winning the league,
we can potentially get into Champions League. But in regards to the cup competitions, we stand a chance in all 3 of these cups. So you have to decide whether you bring in a couple of players to give Eddie the chance to really go for it, or you bring in a new manager and give them a chance to really go for it. So the transfer window for me is either a completely back him or completely sack him.
Let me thank the super chatters here that came in of late. Warren, Joe Linton. Joe Linton looks Finnish. Replace with flair, please. Warren says as well, when is Adam and Adam what? Adam Ant? We need to stand. Yeah. Oh, and stand delivery. Yeah. Internet. But my thing is,
boom.
I will agree. I will have to agree with Jack in the sense that I don't even know what we need to fix. I mean, I think you brought up. That was the point that you brought up a 10. Maybe we should play a 10. We kind of got a 10. We either got Voltemata or Barnes.
I think we've got a 10.
But the manager, doesn't do that.
No, it doesn't play.
So it ultimately leads to the decision maker. We got Harvey Barnes playing on the left, but I want to ask you about Gordon as well, because Gordon is Mighty Wins. Here we go. Copying me, man. Get your own style, man. Get your own style.
Oh, what's his view on Gordon?
Gordon. That's Mighty Wins' great grandson. Because he's
right.
He's as old as Methuselah, but because Gordon can do nothing wrong. He runs around and that helps the team all of a sudden. We don't see that. He played one great game against Chelsea. Where else? Hasn't got a good game in 2 years, man, almost. So, I want to know why Harvey Barnes worked so hard to get into the
Chris's love child, by the way.
No, not at all. He just played football. He can play football, and he works so hard to get into the Premier League, does everything great. He probably still is, alongside Voltemata, top scorers, or, he's won a couple of games.
He's got 7 goals, I think, this season.
So explain to me, you're a journalist, Jack. Explain to me why does Eddie Howe not pick the best player instead of Anthony Gordon, for example, if he doesn't have favorites, which I think he does.
So I'm totally with you. I'm a massive Harvey Barnes advocate. I think he deserves to be starting over Anthony Gordon. I think Gordon, it's the start of last season, had about 3 good months in that period, and he played a massive role in getting us to the Carabao Cup final, by the way. 2 goals, in the semi-final against Arsenal. Huge role. He was delivering in the Premier League at that point as well. We beat Villa 3-0. He got a brilliant goal in that game. We beat Spurs 2-1. Scored a great goal in that game. He was on fire again. And then he got the red card against Brighton. and then he got the injury. And then when he came back, we changed formation to a back three to try and just shoehorn him and Barnes into the team because Barnes was on fire, by the way. He was absolutely on fire. And what in the end happened is it killed both their forms and we limped over the line. Gordon is very much Eddie Howe's favourite choice for that left-hand side. And Barnes has to basically score 3-4 goals in a row before he gets a sniff. And then immediately Gordon comes back against Tottenham as a sub. Did well in the game, to be fair. Played a role in the goal and then banged away the penalty. But then immediately after that, he started again. I was like, no, that's not how it works. He doesn't deserve to start now. He needs to fight his way into the team. He doesn't deserve to start now. He's not done enough. And Gordon is a player who is starting for England at the World Cup. And I'm seeing things about Barnes having to switch to Scotland. I'm like, I wouldn't even be starting Barnes. I mean, how's that a thing? If Gordon is starting for England, but Barnes isn't starting for Newcastle and they're talking about Barnes going to Scotland, it's like, no, I'll be starting Barnes over Gordon for Newcastle, which then means surely, by that logic, he should be starting for England. Obviously, it doesn't work like that. But still, that's my point about Gordon. I don't think he's doing anywhere near enough. He's scored a few penalties this season. His last Premier League goal was January from open play. January. We're nearly a year later.
Yeah, no, it's criminal. It's criminal. But Jack,
Barnes
I just want you to know.
He's a brilliant finisher.
I just want you to know you lost one fan.
Did I?
Mighty Win is no longer a fan of yours. Mighty Win. You have gone against Gordon. That is... You can't do that. It's sacrilege, man. So
sorry, I've been going against Gordon for a while.
No,
I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem people going against Gordon.
I expect more from him. That's my issue. I expect more from him.
And so do I.
No, but you say you justified him starting against Man United. You justified
because we have no press without him.
And what press, man? Press is gone. Nobody has.
Well, exactly. That's the problem. The press is gone. That's our inherent problem.
But if you were telling me that the press is
and finishing with dinner, of course.
We had one good against Chelsea. We had the press. They came back, to be honest, after a long time. But that's it. This whole season that's not our thing. That's not our identity anymore, man.
Because one man can't do it on his own.
So you are justifying Gordon into play. Instead of Barnes.
What did you say the team that were put up in the earlier show for Burnley?
No, it ain't gonna. I'm asking
you. Did I have
man.
Barnes in or did I have Gordon in?
So now you're jumping
Barnes
onto. Okay, we're talking sense.
Welcome to my world, Jack.
He is the king. Jack, you will learn this. He is the king and moving the goalposts, man. He's always right according to him, man. I'm telling you, it's unbelievable. The press is going,
there's two rules. The first rule is win is always right. And the second, in the event of win being wrong, the second rule is refer to the first rule. Right, there you go.
And we got the soundboard here, by the way.
You're out your mind, man.
There you go. That's my message to Mighty Win. Listen, I don't know if it's. I mean, we got Crystal Palace. Do we think we're going to beat Crystal Palace?
Yep.
Well,
of course. Well, of course you would. Yeah.
No, but I think Palace. One thing is we're playing them at the right time because this is now they've got injuries. They have Ismail Assar away at AFCON. They are playing a ridiculous amount of games in such a short period of time. And Oliver Glasner has a squad of about 15 players. And he's at the point where he's using the players that he doesn't even like. He's just having to use them because the others are injured or not available. Like the start of the season, he was playing the Conference League. He was playing the same 11 as he was playing at the weekend because they're the only players he likes. And I think it's almost him making a point, by the way, to the Crystal Palace board saying, why have you done this to me? We could have pushed on this season, but instead you decided to not sign any players and sell Eza. So I think,
and by the way, that's also
Palace at the right time. We're playing Palace at the right time, and we should be winning. We should be winning the next 3 games. If we don't win the next 3 games, you can probably rule out. I think that'll be rule out the Champions League just based on the fact other teams will pick up the points. Europe might still be there, but you'd be well over half the season. We still have to go away to Chelsea, Manchester City, Liverpool, Arsenal. I mean, that's been the issue with the away form this first half of the season, by the way. We had the easier fixtures in the first half of the season. We've got the much harder way fixtures coming up. That's going to be a problem.
Irish super chat there, Win.
Win the magician. Look over here. Play the hand.
There you go.
Forget about Gordon. Just
forget about it. Exactly. He wants to talk about something else. That's how he does, man. We got again Burnley, Crystal Palace, and Leeds must-win games for Newcastle United. No questions asked. I'm assuming right win because you never know with you.
Yeah.
Flop like a pancake, man. So
Burnley, and this is what. By the way, this is also why I was saying, if we don't get a result against Burnley, definitely Eddie out. Because I would get a new manager in. I don't care who it is.
No, see what?
Because that manager coming in then has a run of eminently winnable games to get off to a flying start with, and he's going to have presumably some input into the incoming transfers. But that's off the table completely for me. If we get beat off Burnley, that's off the table.
Wait, this dude, man. Hey, wait, Jack. Listen, I know that was a serious take, and all of a sudden, that's so, But look, that's like the 20th time he said that, and then he changed the next game. He's like, Eddie Howe, he'll turn things around again, So it's all talk, man. Christina Cage, there, super chat. 20-game win streak starts tomorrow. There you go.
That's it, Christina.
If we win 20 games, can we win the league? Can we win the league if we win the next 20 games? I bet you, mathematically, you never know. You never
Just
know.
to let
But
you
no,
know, Jack, Christina was the lady on before the show started, and she great. She just wins great granddaughter.
Oh, another happy clapper, man. Another happy clapper. You got too many happy clappers here, man. Come on, we need some logical thinkers, Jack. I'll tell you what. Let's go with the star comments, the highlight comments from the show, and hopefully we can get some comments to react to. Phil here says no way Gordon should start before Barnes. There you go. That's do you agree with that, Win? No way Gordon should start before Barnes.
On current form, yeah, I agree with that.
That's a lot of talking for just saying yes or no, man. That's the question. Yes or no? Yeah. On current form. David Veach, can we have a proper coach, or is that too much to ask for? There you go.
We've got a proper coach.
Okay. You're missing the
It gets
point.
with every match, doesn't it? We win. It gets with every match. It's just a shame about the manager who's on the coach.
Well, yeah. You know what? The coach is unbelievable, isn't it? You just see,
it's lovely.
You see, it looks unbelievable. That's class.
Oh my Lord.
That's how they should be traveling. Right, and then they're going loose like West Ham. And like, no, lads, get on the megabus. That should be the rule.
Dude, I'm telling you, I can't believe West Ham they're probably going to get relegated.
West Ham,
that's insane.
they're going to go down. They got 13 points. 5 off 50. It was
that is
awful.
insane. When was the last time West Ham were in?
Everyone keeps asking us where I'm from. They detect I'm not a Geordie. That's fair enough. I get it. Yeah.
No, yeah. Well, you will get some gatekeepers here and there, mate. But I'm battling them away for you.
I was born in Gateshead. My two granddads were massive Newcastle fans. Were never ever going to let me not be a Newcastle fan. But I moved to Washington when I was about 3, so I'm from Washington. And Jordan Pickford went to my school, so there you go.
Oh, there you go. But you're a proper Geordie, man. Get it.
Right. Everyone always mentions.
The Toon Twins.
Toon Twin territory.
Oh, we do got two collaborators as well. They're twins, literally.
Oh, right.
And Tim and Peter, they're from Washington. Washington is half and half, they say.
It is.
It is half and half.
I'd say it's 60. I'd say it's 60-40 Sunderland.
It's Sunderland.
Oh man, come on, man! You should have kept that stat to yourself.
No, anyway. It is. But equally, I'm saying that my two granddads are the ones that are the reason I like football. They were never ever going to let me support Sunderland.
Anywhere else. There you go, man. That's good. But so
even says it properly, Sunderland.
Can't help it, can I?
There you go. Jake says,
I've been asked to put me in jail. So there you go. Nice one.
You may have to do that. Oh, may have to do that, man. Jake says the keeper over in Macomlin looks good. They must have paid $80 million for him.
He's class.
Well, actually, I haven't been watching something too much, really, other than Derby and the first game. The atmosphere was great, to be fair. The first game back,
Roofs
but
is he is one of the reasons they're so high in the league. There's been a few games he's played this season whereby he has made some unbelievable saves. He's really good at claiming the ball as well. They signed him for £10 million. You know, there are bargains out there if your recruitment's right. And look, Newcastle recruitment has been right for the majority of the time since the takeover, but you know, I think they've maybe took the eye off the ball a little bit. And you know, you miss out on a player like that. Roofs would have been much better than Ramsdale.
I said that. Say if you agree with me, because I said before Xhaka went to Sunderland, I said we should get Xhaka because he's a great experience, great footballer. He did great, prem proven. It doesn't seems like what Eddie Howe likes, and he should be a great addition to the bench to strengthen it. And then I thought, watching him play now, I think he would be probably starting over Joe Linton or somewhere around there in the midfield. So what do you think? Would you agree that Xhaka would have been great for Newcastle?
I'm not sure, but I do think that when Sunderland signed him, I called it immediately and said he's going to be the sign of the season, or one of the signs of the season, because he's that type of player who gives it his. I don't know. It throws himself into everything. You know, he's got that passion. So again, it would have worked at Newcastle. I just maybe think for what we want to be or thought we were going to be this season, we're probably a little bit past that. But I think for what Sunderland are and. Well, we're expecting to be fighting relegation. They're going to be pushing into Europe at this point. But he's a signing of the season. I don't think there's been a better signing. I really don't. I think the way he's changed the club around entirely. He got the derby immediately as well. Like, you could just tell from the first minute he understood what the derby meant.
Yeah,
you know,
and
maybe we're going to.
Where do you actually stand on that, Jack? In terms of where do you think Sunderland will finish?
Well, it's interesting because everyone said this about Nottingham Forest last season. They'll drop off. They'll drop off. They'll drop off. And in the end, they were still in the Champions League race. They did, but they were in the Champions League race until the last sort of 3-4 weeks. I think at the moment, I'd be surprised they'd finish anywhere below 12th. To be honest, I think
really.
I think they've worked out the Premier League. They're not pretty to watch at all. They're extremely effective, and they are clinical. And they defend very, very well. They defend their box very, very well. Just something we don't do at all. So
they cannot fail this. They cannot fail this season now. Sunderland.
They can't.
They have no pressure. They have no pressure anymore.
They're staying up now. So you know.
Yeah.
Well done.
No pressure whatsoever.
They've absolutely no pressure on the shoulders whatsoever.
And that's the problem. I'm telling you, if they're in Europe and we're not next season, it's going to be hell to pay on this channel. I'm telling you, man.
Well, I think there's some issues there, isn't there? Yeah,
definitely. Kim Cam says, Jack, why forget that we have been rubbish since we won the cup? Well, the form has been great. That's since the end of the season.
No, I do get that. I mean, I'm trying to have a look at. I was having a look at the form before. Gives a minute. I'll try and find what it was.
Yeah, no problem. Fancy a change. He says, question. How has a reputation of improving players, but can anyone please tell me the players he's improved in our current side? I can think of more that are worse. But you would think, I mean, Ilanga was a great player for Forest. Came here and he doesn't even look like he looks like me playing a right wing. And then go on, mate.
No, does he mean the new players? Because I mean,
yeah, I think he may have.
Right, yeah. Because I was going to say what. The whole team's better. Well, realistically. If he means the new players.
It may be because what Wynn was saying, that he doesn't have time.
Well, no, the other thing I would say about Eddie is, and I've said many times, is that he is fantastic at improving players, bringing players up to a level.
100%.
My worry is if we are where we want to be, which is where we are buying players already at that level, so he's not really going to improve them much more. Has he got the tactical nous to then mould those quality players into a championship chasing side?
And
And,
well, every
and,
time we
and,
have
and I've
Champions
got
League,
I've got no doubts at all about. We've seen the improvement he's got out of players.
But hang on. Can I
Timing.
pick you up on that a little bit, Wayne, and just ask Jack? Have you seen how improve young players? Has he developed young players into the team? We've had them on the bench at the weekend. Sorry, the weekend between Christmas and New Year, but he still hasn't brought them into the actual team. Do you think he
Only-
should be developing the
only-
younger players as well?
You know, I think that's a fair point. One thing I'll always say though is that if you're good enough, you're old enough. So I think if you look at Lewis Miley, he was thrown in, but equally he wouldn't have been thrown in if Howe didn't believe that there was at least something there about him to be able to play in the Premier League. And Miley has improved since that first time he was in the team. I suppose last season was a bit of a weird year for him, a few injuries. But this year, you know, physically he's improved. Looks like he can manage the 90 minutes now. Defensively, he's improved. And he's still got that silky technique on the ball. So I think Lewis Miley I'm going to give as a player who's improved. Lewis Hall wasn't even, if you think about the first season we signed Lewis Hall, he barely played a game. 8 matches, I think. And now in my opinion, he's England's starting left back. He is incredible. I mean, I know we were awful against Manchester United, but he did not deserve to be on the losing team. He was insane. Like, I think it was, he had 3 shots for one, dribbles completed, passes completed. He was up there for all of them. So Hall's another one. I know what you mean about the academy players, though. I just think that it's difficult with academy players because I think it becomes apparent very early on if they're going to be good enough to actually be in the first team and play Premier League football. The amount of academy footballers who end up leaving and going to play non-league, League 1, League 2 is, endless, really. So I think you always sign these players hoping they're going to make it. You never know. But I think the ones who've actually broken through have improved. Elliot Anderson improved as a footballer under Eddie Howe. Of course, he's actually improved even more now that he's getting regular first team minutes. But still, he improved. So I think that one's the first team. In terms of that is interesting. And then in terms of the point about, sorry, it was before saying that we were awful from the cup final. Newcastle won 6 of their next 9 games and lost 1. I mean, is that 7 of their last 9 of the games after the cup final and lost 1? So
that's a fair point.
So that narrative doesn't stand for me. That would be bad since the cup final.
We may have to look at the form or how we were playing. I don't know, but I can't remember really. So
I mean, smash Manchester United 4-1.
I remember that.
Yeah. Beat I've got the results here, to be fair.
Jack, just to pick
beat
up
Palace
on
5-0.
Sorry, mate. Just to pick up on one point that you made there, Jack, with the youngsters against Man United, he had a young striker on the bench. Neve, was it?
Neve,
Sean
Neve, yeah.
Why didn't he bring him on? Do you get that? So that was more the point I was trying to make.
Mate. I understand.
He's got them on the bench. You've got 5-10 minutes to go. You're losing 1-0. What's the problem with chucking 2 strikers on and just going for it?
Yeah, well, I get that. And to be fair, what I would have done is I would have put Visser on with Waldemar.
Waldemar.
100%.
And much earlier.
Yeah.
When he took Waldemar off, I was a bit disappointed because then we started whipping in crosses. To be honest, we put in 41 crosses again on Boxing Day, and I was like, well, none of them were any good because I knew one was on the end of any of them. But it was like, equally, do you blame the striker for that, or do you blame the delivery? And I was watching the game. I blame the delivery. It was all pathetic. So it would have been nice to see Waldemar and Visser together because I think they'll actually link up really well because they're totally different. Yeah. So I think they'll link up really well. Neve's an interesting one because he's got a very, very good goal scoring record at the youth level, and they do rate him really highly. He's one player I do think will make it as certainly a professional striker. I don't know about Premier League, but certainly a professional striker. So that for me is it. I would have liked to see him. Why not? Why not throw him on? What have you got to lose? What have you got to lose?
Let's go. Let's keep going with the comments there before we finish the show. A transfer on wages we won't pay, says Tony. I have no clue about his wages, but
I'm not
maybe
sure,
they
but
are higher. No.
wages are weird in football. You know, as a journalist, as a broadcaster, this really, really annoys me because it's in American sports. It's all so transparent, isn't it? You can literally just
Yeah.
Google what they're earning.
Yeah.
Instead, we've got made up websites that have Matt Target on 120 grand a week, and people believe that. You know, when you know, do you know when you see when people talk about Matt Target that he's on 120 grand a week? There is no way he is on 120 grand a week. Not a chance. So it wouldn't be at Middlesbrough now if he was, right? He simply wouldn't. There's no way they're paying any of those wages. So that's nothing to do with Newcastle. It's just a point that really annoys me. It's it needs to be more transparent. Why can't we know exactly what these football players are earning? And undisclosed fees are nonsense as well. It should all be transparent.
We do that all the time. Yeah, we do that all the time too. Undisclosed fee, man. Just tell people.
Trafford is allegedly on 50 grand a week basic with 12.5 grand bonus.
Well, if that's the case, we can certainly. If we can't pay that, then we are.
Yeah, we can certainly pay that.
Yeah.
Wins on 120 grand a week.
Oh man, it ain't worth.
I better be on more than that.
And it ain't worth a dime of it. Irish says, you don't get this on TalkSport. Move over, Jack, to the dark side. There we go. No, great stuff. No, he does do great stuff with TalkSport, though. TalkSport got a lot of, I mean, you know, you hate it or love it, whatever you want, but get the audience, they get the
to be fair, I mean, we've launched a specific show for Newcastle fans. It was mine and a few other people's idea. Every 2 weeks, it's going to be every week from 2026, called Inside the Toon. Would really appreciate everyone to check it out. Latest episode was out today. It's on the TalkSport and TalkSport Newcastle YouTube channel. Sorry, I had to plug it, but yeah.
No. By all means, man. Yeah, I watch. You know, it's been a new one. Everybody has them. Man United, Chelsea, and all of them. So
yes,
it's lovely.
So we're the latest club. We're the latest club. I managed to convince the bloke in charge to get it going. So
I'm a little bit disappointed you haven't done one of your scream and shouts yet, Jack. You know, one of your
from the goal show.
Yeah.
We got to get him pissed off, man. We got to get him angry. But there we go. Let's say, fancy.
You should see the clips from the derby. Honestly, I'll send them to Chris or something because it's actually unbelievable. My mum immediately was watching it and she was just like, "Yeah, there we go. I'm gonna screenshot all of them." Like, cheers, mum.
Oh, that's funny, man. See more comments here. Queenie says, "Who would accept the Conference League now?" Well, I mean, I think all of us would probably, take that as. I mean, there's the high chances that we might get your Champions League, but I mean, do we? I'll take any Europe at this point. If you're asking me. So, I mean, I've
just posted the TalkSport YouTube link in the chat. So
what a top boy! Cheers, thank you.
Yeah. We'll definitely get that sorted. And fancy a change. I wouldn't mind go at the conference. We wouldn't win that at another pot next season and go on. So a lot of people seem to be happy with the conference.
Here's the thing, Chris. Right? I made this note when we're talking about Sunderland a few minutes ago. Labrie is doing brilliantly this season. It would appear at Sunderland, overperforming. As how did
No, but nobody's gonna think.
Hang on.
No.
You wait till next season. If Sunderland are in relegation again for the Labrie out brigade coming because of how well he's done this season, expectations get raised beyond reasonable levels, and then all of a sudden people get on his back.
Any Macam expecting that there's supposed to be a Champions League every season with the players they got, with all due respect, they're delusional. Newcastle United got more quality, better players, bigger players. Literally the best center forward in the Premier League, in my opinion, or second if you want to disagree with that, was Alexander Isak. They don't have nobody nowhere near that. Tonali, one of the best midfielders in the league. Bruno, the same. Man City, one Livramento. Nowhere near
they've got Mr. Brummy, man.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Well, you're still wrong. So there you go. Tenji says difference in this season is that past seasons we were capable of putting 5 a 5-game winning streak together. I honestly struggle to see us doing that this season. I don't think we won back-to-back games other than the Man City Everton game. So there you go. Queenie says, "Can I have your autograph?" And he says, "I'll flog it off eBay." There you go. There you go. I think that was for Jack, because that ain't for Mighty Win.
No, well, that's on the way, Quinny.
We're gonna start selling them here on NUFC. Hey man, we're gonna send you. You can get them signing.
All of us there. Why not?
There you go. Iris, that wasn't a defeat to Sunderland. That was a pull the pants down spanking. There you go. There you go. Last comment here. RG Fox, problem all season, not just the derby. That just confirmed the lack of, cojones and or sheer scoring talent. There are highlights of the Premier League so far, but again, crap with Champions League competition with Prem. But it's a struggle trying to compete. We're fine in the Champions League, although actually now we're putting ourselves in a predicament.
Fine margins.
Now we got to beat PSV, who I'll be there, by the way, against. I'm going to Newcastle for Wolves. I'm going there for PSV and for Aston Villa. So that PSV game is, you got to beat them, because now you got to beat PSG then the following week to try to advance to the later stages. So, but yeah, Champions League we're doing decent there, and Carabao Cup, I know they're my final. I mean, Man City is not going to be an easy one.
Home and away, 2 legs every chance.
Yeah, there you go.
I think people can look for some specials where you're across as well, can't they, Chris Whitworth?
There you go. There you go, mate. There you go. Jack, did you have fun, mate?
It was obviously class, wasn't it? Yeah.
I don't think Jack is coming back, man. He's like, oh, yeah, man. I'm not going into that with those numpties. Anything? Tell us, man. Anything? First of all, you actually told us how you became a Newcastle fan. Your parents, your grandparents. But what you got going on, mate? Talk sport. Tell us, man. Tell us.
Yeah. So talk. So I'm mainly on the right. I was employed as a writer, but in the sort of last year or so, I've managed to find a way to get on air quite often. So I've got a spot on the Sports Bar Monday to Thursday with Jamie O'Hara and Jason Cundy. So that's about 11:45 every night. But that's really got me some good traction, and people seem to, I don't know, I've been out in London and stuff, and people have recognised me or recognised my voice or whatever. So it's pretty good. That, and then obviously I managed to get the Newcastle show going, which is fantastic. It's not doing the views we quite like so far, but equally I think it's just about the algorithm maybe working out, and also people finding it, because it seems like for whatever reason not that many people find it. I appreciate that TalkSport isn't the best for Newcastle stuff. I understand that. What the whole point of this is we're all Newcastle fans. We all care about the club. We all just want to give our opinion and want what's best for the club, and we always try and be as honest as possible. And then I'm on the Goal Show, which I think some people have seen already. So so that's just a live watch along thing, and I'm always on for the Newcastle games. I'm on this Sunday actually for the Crystal Palace game, so that'll be
lovely.
So.
Did you say you're on TalkSport 11:45? 11:45 on a Thursday.
Monday to Thursday. Yeah.
Monday to Thursday.
Yeah.
Jack, can I ask you a quick favour? When you get in to do when you start getting in to do press conferences, which I've got no doubt you will do, will you please ask him proper bloody questions?
Well,
rather than asking what he's having for his tea that night, can we ask him proper footballing questions?
No, but very true, mate. I do think that sometimes press. I think it's a thing for all press conferences. I think sometimes they don't really ask the questions that they want. And look, one of the ambitions of mine is to be in the position where I can get there. And some was saying, what does the Cun mean? It's Cunningham. That's my second name. So Jack Cun 96. But yeah, seen some nice comments there, which is really appreciated. I've really enjoyed this. It's been class.
Yeah, no, you go check it out. The latest podcast of Inside the Toon on TalkSport. You'll see Jack there, and talking all things Newcastle United. So let's give him some views. Let's give him some viewership here from this channel. And
when you go on, give it a raid. NUFC Talk raid.
That's right. Go in and smash the like button. Go in and help the fellas out. Talking Newcastle United is not easy, man. Trust me, it's not easy starting and doing anything Newcastle United. So go.
Not right now. It's not. Just wait.
Yeah, and
small margins.
People want Jack back. I'm telling you, he's not. He's going to decline every offer after this. But anyway, we're going to try to persuade him. We're going to try to persuade him. But anyway, what you're in London, so
Yeah, yeah.
what's London looking like? What's the weather right now in London?
Well, I don't know if anyone is down in London, but we have the Newcastle Supporters Club. So which is at the Dolphin, which is near King's Cross, and honestly, it is class. It really there's Geordies, but there's also Newcastle fans from all walks of life, all different accents. We're all just there, watch the tune. It is brilliant. I love it. So anyone in London, please come down and check it out. It's brilliant.
Has it got the Dolphin name back now, has it?
Yes, it's got the Dolphin
as
name back
opposed
now.
to Mad Dogs.
Yeah, Mad Dog, yeah, which I mean, I don't know why. I don't know how the owner even allowed that because he hates everyone in there. So
there you go, man. We will definitely bring Jack back. Lovely guest, man. We loved your appearance here tonight. And we will, we'll be back once again, man. Mighty Win starstruck. Next time he'll be more, more free to speak. He's a little bit, when he sees somebody, he's starstruck. He doesn't talk.
Too old to be starstruck.
Yeah, there you go. Well, you got that part right. You too old. But anyways, folks, we will see you later tomorrow. Tomorrow match day for us. We got the live match commentary 2 hours before kickoff. So bringing you the build up and everything else. And join us tomorrow. Thank you to all the super chatters, everybody that's contributed and donated to the channel. Appreciate all of you very much. We'll see you on the next one.